Heritage Media, and we're back with another clip about relationships. Today, we're looking at a channel. It's called Just Pearly Things, and Just Pearly Things. Shout out to Pearl. She hosts a show in the UK. So we're going to take a look at a different country here. But I think the reason why I wanted to shoot this is because there is a movement as far as people wanting to look outwards in other countries. Look, we got to address this at some point. But I think this is a good introduction to it because, like I said, Just Pearly Things it takes place in the UK. Now, interesting enough, she's actually not in this clip. I think she may have been out of the country or doing something else. But we have a different host today. But we're going to go ahead and get this started. But like I said, I wanted to highlight this because it literally takes place in a different country. So this may be something that maybe we can learn something from this that is not present here in the U.S. So let's go ahead and have the conversation and see where we're at. Let's see.
Been the most loyal.
Whoop. Yeah, there. Okay. There. All right. Good. We got audio and playback. All right, let's go.
With a whole divestment movement.
With the whole wall.
Okay, so immediately right off the bat, we're jumping right in. He's talking about divestment. Basically, that's men and women who are seeking outside of their race for dating options. And there's also oftentimes there's a negative connotation with it. Is that well, I'm going outside my race because everything in my race is well. Let's go ahead. Maybe he'll explain it.
Divestment, because and that's actually a good point. There's a movement pretty much on social media called divestors, and they're basically black women that are like, we're done with black men are trash, we're gonna go and get us some non-black men, let's open our options, we don't need black men, they're dogs, they're trash, they're weak, they're lazy, they're broke, they're that like they're not just doing it, but they have to trash black men on the way out.
Okay, yeah, that's a great definition, but it also should be noted that it's not just women that do this. So we're gonna hold some men accountable here as well.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like with a lot of vile venom. Like, do you get what I'm saying? So, what do you lot think about that? Have you lot ever come across any women that pertain to that kind of way of thinking?
No,
that way of thinking is trash. By the way,
yeah, it is trash.
Notice right off the bat that they haven't come in contact. Look, me personally, I've never noticed it in my real life either. But it also is something to be said that if a woman was looking to date outside her race, I mean, how would I come in contact with that? She's not checking for me anyway. So I mean, I don't know. I guess that's one of the things that comes with social media. Your eyes get open to all different walks of life, different types of people. So.
Trash, but there's a lot of men that kind of do that. So why are you guys surprised when a woman does it?
Oh, I'm not surprised.
That in general, like, why is everyone surprised when a woman group does it? But it consistently happens in.
On one hand, yeah, she's right because, like I said, I already said that. But the other thing that I would be concerned about is that she didn't really answer the question. She just immediately put the blame on men and said, "Well, men do it too." Gender war 101, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, put it off on the opposite gender, and we can argue about it back and forth instead of actually peeling back the layer and having a high level conversation where we get down to what's actually going on. Gender war 101. Yep.
Men community.
The one thing.
More ads.
There are lots
Yay!
of moments that make home sweet home.
Skip.
I will say, again, I'm gonna tell you lot, get the likes up on the video. I'm gonna say some real ish right now. Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
The reality of that and why it's kind of like, I don't think black guys really find it serious with this whole divestment thing, because just like the young lady said, and she was a black woman, she said it herself, black women, unfortunately, unfairly, or however you want to look at it, are not seen as the standard of beauty. They're not. Mm-hmm. So to have a movement where you're trying to gravitate to men who have deliberately made sure you're not the standard of beauty and try to use them as a weapon or some kind of, oh yeah, look, they want us and you lot don't want us, it's kind of ridiculous at the end of the day. Do you get what I'm saying? Like they have reinforced this idea. All these stereotypes that we're talking about that black women have been reinforced by non-black media. Do you get what I'm saying? The non-black media has propped up the blonde, blue eyes woman as the standard of beauty. So, like, to come back and then say, "Oh yeah, no, we can get men outside." Like, really, can you really though?
That beauty standard though, is that just a curse of living in the West?
Yeah, that is.
I think that beauty standards across the world. To be honest, it's across the world, bro.
No, I don't
know
how many African people, countries, whatever, how many people do we know back home that are still bleaching their skin and
I think it's a curse
doing
of
these
the West,
things?
though.
It is a curse of the West.
It is,
but
it is, but it is there.
It's embedded.
Okay, the reason why I haven't said anything is because I've heard all of these talking points before. Again, YouTube talking points, right? What I haven't heard is what makes this channel so in particular is because, again, Just Pearly Things she's in the EU. So I'm kind of interested to see how, on the other side of the world, how people handle these topics. So I just want to get some more information. Don't worry. I'm going to address some stuff in a second.
Bro, there's bleaching their skin in the Caribbean islands. They're bleaching their skin in the African continent. That says it all. We're not even talking about UK and USA.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, kind of. But I don't know.
It's a tough one, but you have to.
I get it. That happens, but I'm not gonna lie. You go to Africa, and I'm speaking specifically living with Angolans. Like, the Angolan black woman is beautiful, and actually she's quite praised. Go to South Africa as well. Like, a lot of the because obviously they still they still have a race issues, but a lot of like adverts and a lot of these things actually feature very beautiful black women. I think, obviously, when you are in the West and you're out of your home, you are going to stand out like a soul. Feminine is not always going to be in a good way. Go back home. Go to your country of origin or whatever. Just experience it for 1 week, and you'll see how your life will change.
I agree. I think a lot of times when I've heard black women complain and say, "Oh yeah, these black guys, they don't want us, they don't like black women, blah blah blah," I'm like, bro, okay, maybe you should go to a black country then. If you really do want to be with a black man, you can. If you really want to.
I think we just heard a possible solution for a potential problem or potential issue. I'm interested to see where this goes, because again, we've got a possible solution here, so that should not be overlooked.
Do you get what I'm saying? But like, and then it comes to dating requirements. Oh, are you only trying to go after guys that are over 6 foot? Are you trying to only go after guys that are making 6 figures? Are you only, because then you're kind of narrowing down your market and your potential.
Can I say something?
Go on.
So basically, like, back to the beauty standards, like, a lot of white women are now adopting black women features, like the big lips, the big bum, the big, like, the hourglass shape. So how can we say that the back off? How can we say
bare
that
Instagram?
Another YouTube talking point, again, gender wars 101. It's well, it may not necessarily be the gender wars 101, but I've heard this talking point so many times. Everyone's trying to be like us, so we should be praised. We should be at the top of the list.
Workout, every time I have to train somebody, I want a big butt. Like, come on, bruv. Like, what about the whole body, bruv? Like, you get me? But anyway, go on.
Yeah, so how can we say that the beauty standard is still blonde, white, blue eyes? Because all these white women are adopting these ethnic women, like, features.
Yeah, but that's now, and that's only through social media. Like, if we're talking about Western beauty standards, that's happened through colonization. It's happened through us coming here, because we can't have a life now in our country when we were fine before anybody walked in. Like, these are things that have been so deep rooted for centuries, that have, like, been drilled into people's minds. Like, people's bloodlines have been diluted because the white man has come into your land. And
it's time to take the next leap in Wi-Fi. Introducing Orbi.
Yeah, the ads are gonna be gone soon.
Done what he's done, and on top of that, like, it's just crazy. Like, I think yes, now we know we're seeing, but all of this stuff is all celebrity stuff. It's not common people stuff. Like, common people stuff is real trauma. It's real, like, generational pain that your bloodline has gone through that you might be able to connect with and understand. All this, going to get lipo and BBL and you need to want to make your lips bigger.
And at the end of the day, there's black women that are doing BBLs. So then it kind of defeats the whole thing.
Exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Man has a point there. Plastic surgery is not a race issue. You can see it across all all races.
It's not about the body type necessarily that we're discussing. Is the
No,
skin
but
tone.
because Iman was talking about non-black women trying to basically emulate black women, but then if black women are going to do BBLs, who are they emulating?
No, they just emulating.
You're emulating myself.
The ultimate.
He has a point there. And this conversation is not really. It has its high points, but there's not really. I'm not sure I would describe this as a high level conversation. It has its good points, but it's a lot of gender war stuff going on here. So it's something to take note of, because then you know how to avoid people when they want to start talking about this stuff.
So
that's so mad.
Listen,
thing. You lot are tapped. That's it. Let me move on. Let me move on. All right, big up Daniel for the super chat. Good show, King, as always. Big up.
Okay, they're moving on, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here. Go ahead and check out Just Pearly Things. The show that she hosts is called The Pregame. Now, we did get some interesting topics here, or interesting discussions. I don't know if I would label this a high level conversation, because like I said, a lot of this stuff is rooted in the gender war. But again, the whole divestment thing is apparently starting to become a thing on YouTube. So I don't know how real it is in real life. But they did offer. But some good news is that we did get a possible solution. If you're tired of the options where you are, it may be time to move. Now, here's my thoughts on this. Because passport bros is a real thing. Women divesting, that's becoming an issue too. My thing is that you need to go where you're appreciated, and by that I mean that just like that. If it's other races or who are appreciating you as a man, you should definitely do that, because you have to be the pursuer out there. In most cases, women want a guy who's going to pursue them, who's going to approach them. Very rarely are women approaching men in mass. That's just not happening. So as a man, you need to go where you're appreciated. Now the caveat is that if, let's say you're a black man and you want to date outside your race, that's, if you're not being appreciated by black women, then yeah, you should do that. Take your talents elsewhere. But the question that you definitely need to address is why is it that your own people are not interested in you? Because that should be the forethought or a thought that's in the back of your mind. At some point, you're going to need to address that, because there's an issue there that's going on. In most cases, people of their own race, we tend to stick with each other, particularly as you go higher up the economic scale. That you see a lot more of that. So why is it that the people of your own race they're not rocking with you? You need to address that issue, because I guarantee you it's going to come up at some point. It's going to follow you. If there's something there that says that if you're a black man and black women are just not interested in pursuing any kind of a meaningful relationship with you, chances are it's not a race issue. Chances are it's there's something going on with you, and you need to address it through therapy, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point is that you need to start working your stuff out. Now, they did talk about the issue of a possible solution is that you go back to where you came from. Now this is not as prevalent in the U.S. because most of us we were born here, and it's just where we are. But it's interesting to hear, like I said, a different perspective from people in another country. Obviously, in the EU, there's more of a melting pot, so that may be a possible solution. Again, it's just like your salad bar. I say this all the time. take what you want, leave the rest. Because like I said, this wasn't as much as a high-level conversation, but I wanted to highlight the fact that we got a possible solution. And believe it or not, I'm all about that. Because again, at the end of the day, we've got to work together. We're better together than we are apart, and there are too many issues that are facing humanity to where it's not time to start picking and choosing. Oh, and you know what? Before I end this, I do want to address the one other thing there, because that's a big part of it's a big YouTube talking point, is when black women in particular say, well, they're trying to be like me, they having all these features, they got big lips and all this other stuff. Okay, if that's the case, where are the results? What I mean by that is, over here, we keep track of things through marriage. I don't care who you're dating. I don't care how many DMs you got, how many guys propose to you. Marriage is the goal. So my thing is this. Let's just have some accountability here, okay? You can say that, and and they want to look like us and everything else. I get that. But where are the results? If that's the case, where are the marriages? Why is it that it's a rhetorical question though, but why is it that we're the least married people? I think that in the U.S., and I think we're going to have to start addressing, because this applies to black men too, because I hear this all the time about, well, they're stealing our culture and everything else. Okay, so why are we the least married? We got to start. Now, that itself is a high-level conversation. If I can find a clip, or if you guys know of a clip that's starting to point that stuff out, send it to me, because I'll be glad to sit that down, because that's a legitimate question for me. So why if everybody's trying to copy us, why are we the least married? But that's a question for another time. We're going to go ahead and end this video here. Again, check out Just Pearly Things. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you made it to the end of this video, hey, I appreciate you for rocking with me. But I'm going to stay ghost to the next time. Oh, and check out this other video I got coming up in the playlist. Yeah. Peace, guys. Today, we're looking at Fresh and Fit Podcast. Yay. Gender war. Yeah. Gender war is dumb. But what are we doing here today, right? Okay, so remember what I said, a couple times ago, is that every now and then you gotta review the gender war. Mainly, I said review it. Don't participate in it, because like I said, it is dumb. But these are some talking points where people will try and, dissuade you from being in relationships. Again, that doesn't work. Because why? Because we need each other, okay? So we need to cover these talking points so we can start breaking this stuff down so we can move past it, right? So this one, I think, if I line this up right, they're going to talk about all men cheating. Let's go.
Men are only as faithful as their options.
Her little heart.
A majority. A majority,
like
yes.
she's asking you for herself.
I mean, if you want to take that 1 or 2% and cling on to it and say they won't cheat on me, cool, you could have that.
You think it's 1% out of every man?
I think it's extremely rare, and I think the more attractive the man is, the more the likelihood.
Every man cheats.
So, but you got yours a good one.
But
okay. What are my thoughts about this? Does every man cheat, or do 98% of men cheat according to Byron? No. The reality is that when you have a man who can't keep it in his pants, number one, if you're that guy, I would say just don't be in a relationship. It's that simple. But the reality is that most average men, I can only speak for average men because I'm average myself, and most of us are not going to cheat just because to me, it's not worth the risk. I mean, too much can happen from outside relationships. Plus, I don't have time. I literally have too much other stuff to focus in on, like building a legacy. This is this also goes back to the part about, do men want relationships and do men want to be married? Yes, we do. You want to know why? Because it's a box that needs to be checked off. The reality is that chasing women takes up too much time. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to build a legacy here. I can't do that if I'm constantly chasing after women. So it literally is, okay, I just want one woman so I can deal with. That's enough for me. I don't have time to be going on all these dates and chasing all these women and constantly you know, going and recruiting new women. Nah, man. Hey, just give me one. We gonna work things out. I'm gonna take the best option available. That's who I want to marry. That's what I did. Because yes, I am married. And hey, we got that off. So now we have a chance to build together. This thing about spinning plates and all this other stuff. If you're spinning all these plates, how are you building a legacy? You're not. You're not. You don't have time for it. And you know. Well, let's keep going because we may be getting off topic here.
He's also gonna want to fuck other bitches too. So
Well, you know, I know they're gonna want to.
Okay, he mentioned something incredibly powerful there. Again, you know, high level conversations can happen wherever. You just got to treat it like a buffet bar. Pick up what you want, leave the rest. Right? He said that. Wait, let's go ahead and hear it again. Let's see. Did we get this right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Men are only as faithful as their options.
Her little heart.
A majority.
A
majority.
Like
yes.
she's asking you for herself.
I mean, if you want to take that 1 or 2% and cling on to it and say they won't cheat on me, cool, you could have that.
You think it's 1% out of every man?
I think it's extremely rare, and I think the more attractive the man is, the more the likelihood.
Every man cheats.
But
So-
you got yours a good one.
But he's also going to want to fuck other bitches too. So
Okay, so that's the powerful statement there. He's going to want to do that. But remember what I said before is that you want a man who has some self-discipline. And men, you need to develop some self-discipline about it. Why? Because you could lose everything. That's not worth the risk just so you can have some more sex. Like, dude, if it's that important to you, you know, a wise man once said, how much pussy do you need? At a certain point, that just becomes trivial. I get it if you're a late bloomer, but even then, it's only so much out there, man. After a while, it's just like, okay, it's time to move on. It's time to start building a legacy. I mean, you can say that, I'm gonna build a legacy of all these women, okay? And then when you're gone, where's your legacy goes with you unless you have some family, some kids to pass that on to. You know, personal opinion, I don't care how rich you are, if you don't have any kids to pass it on to, dude, your legacy will never be as good as mine, and I'm just average. Why do I say that? Because I have direct control over where my legacy goes, i.e. through my kids. Me directly raising them means that my legacy will continue. The other thing that no one ever talks about is the importance of grandparents in said legacy. Because parents build a legacy 100%, but it's the grandparents that enforce it. Because remember, who are the kids talking to that's going to verify what mom and dad is saying is correct? That's usually where your grandparents come in. Something we got to start, again, high level conversations come with anywhere. You just got to be able to pick out the stuff that you want that makes sense until you can keep it moving.
Well, I know they're gonna want to, but I'm saying
the real question is it really cheating if he's open about it?
Yeah, because I didn't sign up for that.
Oh, you want monogamy?
Oh, that's
nothing wrong with monogamy. Again, this is Myron's personal belief. Because if you notice, Fresh is smiling because this is actually something that they differ on. And, you know, it is what it is. Myron doesn't believe in, he wants to be shared, which is, it leaves some holes in his theory. We will have to address that for another video, though.
That's my question for you. I can't wait to get to you.
I mean, it's it's not in a man's nature. He's always going to want to have other girls.
Well, we just talked about this. Is that gets old after a while. You know, that's why I suggest that, you know, it's important for men to lead with character, because at the end of the day, a man of character is not going to risk everything just to fulfill some, you know, outdated biological, you know, imperative. Biological imperatives can be overwritten if the man has enough self-discipline to realize what's on the line. If your legacy's on the line, then no, most men are not gonna, no, you're not gonna jack up my legacy just so I can have sex with some random girl. No. Again, lead with character. You know, find a man of character, you won't have those problems.
Okay, but if you are willing to love a girl, why would you want to cheat on her?
Because
Knowing
men
it's
and
gonna
women
hurt
love
her.
differently. A man can love his girl and fuck another chick.
Well, you can't love someone and then willingly hurt them. Even
That's
if
why he ain't gonna tell you.
Yep. Facts.
And
But
that's
you-
why we
then you
find a way to
didn't love
find
her.
out.
What's that?
Then you didn't love her.
Man,
He did. He just wanted new
No.
pussy.
is this taking it
No.
somewhere else?
Yeah.
I see you tearing up over here. I'm trying to like make sure you good.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
okay.
he did love you because he didn't tell you. He just wants new pussy. That's what it comes down to.
He just
But how can you love someone and then you willingly hurt them?
Well, see, here's the thing. You're looking at it through your female lens because for you, you can't fathom loving a guy and having sex with another individual. But what I'm telling you is that through the male lens, the guy can have sex with another girl and still love you.
No.
We're not the same.
No, but you know it's gonna hurt the girl.
That's why he doesn't tell you.
Yeah. Facts.
So then why do it if you know it's gonna hurt her?
urge.
Because it's a very strong urge. I don't think women understand a man's need to make it.
You know, a little bit of what he's saying is true, is that men and women do love differently. And, you know, this is not just an issue about cheating. What the real issue is, we peel back the layer, is that, you know, this woman who's asking this question, she looks like she might be kind of young, but she's not willing to acknowledge that men and women think about things differently. Ultimately, that's one of the secrets to make it having a successful marriage is you have to be able to think about the other person, put yourself in their shoes. Now, she is mentioning that and saying that, well, if you love me, then you won't cheat. Well, a lot of times scenarios just don't pan out like that. I mean, because if we apply that to other stuff, there were so many things that women wouldn't do because they love their man, but they still do it anyway. I mean, I'm not going to get into that because that's for another video. Well, let's keep going.
Even the smartest person on earth can understand a man.
Can you please
Even
stop
when the
interrupting?
female's
Can you
giving him
guys, like,
all
bro,
the
what are
time,
y'all
he still
doing?
cheats?
What are y'all doing? I'm talking with her like you guys are just randomly interjecting. If you guys have something you want to say, let me finish my point at least. The urge for a man to mate is extremely strong, and a woman will never understand it. Men have like 10 times the testosterone that a woman has. So I get it. It's tough for you to understand, but that's just how it is.
We're just saying.
Okay, you know, I was just about to address the fact that he had to tell them basically to stop talking because it's rude, and it is rude. But yeah, it's the Fresh and Fit podcast, boy. I don't know what it is about this podcast, man. Women get on here and it's just you know what? It's a gender war. That's what it is. It's designed. This is specifically designed to perpetuate the gender war. So yeah,
I think it's better off to think he might do that rather than say, "Oh, it just happened." That way you're like ready for it. It's gonna happen regardless.
All right, y'all had something? Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to know what's your deal breaker. That's my first
Oh
question.
no, I thought they were trying to say something from
okay.
before.
Oh well, it was. I said not really. Not. You made me lose my train of thought. Like low key kind of came at me.
Whoa.
I mean, it's one mic at a time.
Chris, hold on.
What?
Just deal with that.
What happened?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, then you were gonna say something over here.
Yeah.
You were trying to say something.
No, I was gonna ask. So then, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so then then what does it mean if he tells you if he's cheating on you, but he says, "Oh, I love you, but I'm telling you that I'm cheating on you."
Well, most girls can't handle the truth, so that's why they don't tell them.
Okay, so then
he didn't answer the question. What does it mean that he tells you? Is he's probably the guilt is probably getting to him. That's what that means. It's eating him up inside, and he just wants relief. A lot of times, that's not just that's not just something that men do. Women do this too. It's like we all do that. You know, the guilt of doing something wrong is eating at you. So you decide to relieve your burden by exposing yourself to your partner. And then you got the nerve to think about, oh, well, I hope they take me back. No. If that's the case, then don't do it. Realistically, the only reason you told on yourself is for your benefit because you couldn't take the grief. The reality is that if you knew what you were doing when you went and did whatever it was, now that it's done, you need to take that to the grave. Plain and simple. Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with that guilt eating you up inside. That's part of the bargain that you made. Suck it up.
and we should just be able to accept that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And then vice versa?
No, because a man is not going to accept you cheating 99% of the time.
But we're supposed to accept them for
Yes,
cheating.
because men and women are not the same. When you have
Okay.
sex with a bunch of dudes, you lose value. When I have sex with a bunch of
again, inciting the gender war here. He could have just as easily broke that down by just saying that, okay, well, hey, all the stuff that a man has to do in order to have sex with you, that doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to sit here and tell me that this was just the right guy at the right time. No one's going to believe that. That's why that guy had to work up to you. So when a woman cheats, she's automatically gone. And she's already checked out. Whereas a man, it's kind of like, okay, it's crime of opportunity. This woman was here and I messed up. That's a little bit more believable, but with women, it's completely different. Now, why does that make sense? Because men and women are different. We don't act the same. We don't think the same. Remember? But notice what happens here. He continued. He just doubled downs on what he said before instead of actually explaining it. Why? Because they want to incite a gender war. Why? Because it looks good for YouTube. Gets views, right? That's why I'm here reviewing it.
Girls, it means I've demonstrated value.
Yeah, you become the master key because you have the lock. You have
Exactly.
the key that opens everything.
Exactly. It's one of the few things that's a double standard that doesn't benefit women. It's hard for men to get sex. It's easy for women to get sex.
And
So
that is
therefore,
perfectly why I will stay single. I don't deal with that.
well, I mean, you described the guy making 100K per year, 6 foot.
Yeah, but then if it comes with, oh, I'm gonna cheat on you, I'm gonna let you know, but you're gonna be my wife, it's like, yeah, no, I'm okay.
Okay. Well, if you're willing to stay single, that's fine.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. But yeah, so yeah, men are typically only faithful as their options. So is your guy going to cheat? I don't know. Maybe he might not have the value to, but if he has the ability to and the value to, he probably more than likely will want to have sex with other girls. I think the best thing a girl can do is accept it and be there like, hey, listen, I understand you have urges, whatever it may be, just don't bring a disease home or we can do it together.
Thank you. Why did he just say that in the beginning? Because the gender war is dumb. Yeah, that's why.
In the middle ground, I don't know.
So you don't think a man can love a woman enough to not want to hurt her?
He just won't tell you. Hence, you will not be hurt.
But they'll find out.
They'll do everything.
You always find out.
Well, they'll do everything in their power to conceal it, which is why guys do the sneaky things they do because they know most women can't handle the truth.
Well, you don't know won't actually hurt you. So
Well,
if you,
how
so
you-
if you
you
don't
know
know,
they're gonna find out.
How do you expect your wife to
not
be
really.
happy if you're not keeping her happy by being loyal?
How
Men
is she unhappy?
men
if
don't
she
show
doesn't know?
loyalty by fidelity. That's how you show loyalty. You show loyalty by not fucking other dudes. I show loyalty by being willing to die and protect you. We're not the same.
As bad as it sounds, he's actually right about that. Because remember, relationships are about balance. It has to be an equal value exchange. Shout out to my Full Metal Alchemist fans out there. But yeah, it has to be some kind of full equal value exchange there. Otherwise, the marriage is not going to work. It's just going to be one-sided. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it works. Now, the other thing is that, well, it is kind of one-sided because women tend to date up. So that's, you gotta make it work, or lower your standards. Then it's less of an issue. Average men, we have a track record of not trying to cheat on women for the most part. Does it happen? Yeah, but it's not as prevalent as they're making it seem. I mean, men and women cheat around the same rate. We're talking about it's probably maybe like a 4 or 5% difference, and then there's a statistical variance in there. So yeah, there's not much difference between who's cheating more, men or women.
At all.
But she already died. What's the point of you trying to protect her if she's already dead? Like, I don't get it.
What do you mean?
From an
He said his part was to protect.
Wait, we gotta go back to that because that made no. I must have missed something there.
He just won't tell you. Hence, you will not be hurt.
But they'll find out.
They'll do everything.
You always find out.
Well, they'll do everything in their power to conceal it, which is why guys do the sneaky things they do because they know most women can't handle the truth.
Well, you don't know won't actually hurt you. So
Well,
if
how
you
you-
don't
you know
know,
they're gonna find out.
How do you expect your wife to
not
be
really.
happy if you're not keeping her happy by being loyal?
how
Men
is she unhappy?
men
if
don't
she
show
doesn't know?
loyalty by fidelity. That's how you show loyalty. You show loyalty by not fucking other dudes. I show loyalty by being willing to die and protect you. We're not the same at all.
But she already died. What's the point of you trying to protect her if she's already dead? Like, I don't get it.
What do you mean?
From an
That was just an L response.
He said his part was to protect, to die for her and protect her. But the girl's already.
Bruh, what is she talking about? What is she talking about, man? What are we doing?
Dead. So what is your job? You didn't protect her by
She's
being
alive.
How? How you know that?
She just argue, bro.
No, but how do you know that?
The man, right? The woman shows loyalty by not fucking other people. That's what men typically want from their girl. That's the main thing. A woman gets with a guy for provisioning protection. So if he's willing to deal with home invaders or fight to protect you and die in the process, that's how men show love. We don't show love through monogamy. We show love by willing to provide and protect for you. We're not the same, ladies. And I know a couple of you guys said on the pod earlier, men and women are the same 50-50. It is not 50-50 whatsoever.
Okay.
I mean, you quite frankly literally described a man who's better than you in every regard. You expect him to be equal to you, though?
Hey.
Tell me how that makes sense.
I don't know. You're right about that.
Exactly. You have anything else that you wanted to add to that? Yeah, you just got to deal with it, man. That's just how it comes down.
That doesn't make sense, though.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's just that
it makes sense, but
you don't like it.
You can't say you love that person. You just can't.
No, they definitely can.
No.
Okay, again.
To you.
Men and women are different. A man can love a girl and have sex with others.
No.
Happens every day.
You're choosing to hurt them. You know that it's going to hurt.
It happens
Well, I just
every
told
day.
you they do it by not telling you.
Yeah, it's if you choose to find out.
I know it's tough to understand and it hurts, but it's the truth. Men and women don't show love the same way.
We live in an evil world.
I get it. You're 18, so I'm giving you some slack here. Limited life experience, etc. And it's very difficult for you to step outside your own shoes and understand that people are different from you, but men are very different than women. Everything, our brains, the way we process emotions, the way we process the world. There's a reason why men have more spatial awareness than women. We're better than directions. We're stronger than you guys. More capable, more confident, etc. We're wired differently. We're not the same. Do not believe this bullshit propaganda that says men and women are the same, 50-50. No, it's not at all. You look.
Yeah, he's going on. Yeah, he's going in right now, and he's right. Men and women are not the same, and especially because with most women, they want a man who is more masculine than they are. Well, that's going to come with some trade-offs. The more masculine he is, the higher demand he's going to be in by other women. So for him to concentrate on you means that there's going to be some because there's going to be some give and take there. There's going to be some cost to being with a guy like that. Unfortunately, most women they don't pay attention to what that cost actually is. They don't know what it is. They're just thinking that, oh yeah, well I got this guy, so everything's good now. No, that's not how it works. That guy's gonna want something too. Now, are there guys out there 100 just like Myron, 100%? Yeah, there are. And if you want to be with them, you're gonna have to pay the price. If you're not, then they will be walking away. That's why I say. That's why I say we need more content from average men. Because look, the high value conversation is salacious. I get it, but the reality is that we have enough content about them because they're a small percentage of guys anyway. What about the other 90% of guys? We have to start speaking up for ourselves because really nobody else is going to do it for us. I mean, this is why like this channel exists, because I get tired of watching content that's dedicated to high value men, and it's like everybody goes in on it. I get it. Like I said, it's salacious, but at the end of the day, if most of us are not high value, how is that helping us? Well, you got to become high value. Yeah, okay. We're gonna have that conversation. I'm gonna address that in a money video, because the reality is that everybody can't be rich. Because if you are, guess what's gonna happen? Well, yeah, everybody makes $100,000 a year. Okay, we see women move the goalposts in just random conversations, right? You really think they're not gonna move the goalposts in that? Well, yeah, 100K, I got that. Well, yeah, but now I need a man making 700K. So, sorry. Yeah, exactly.
Look for a guy that's taller than you, that's stronger than you. We look for a girl that's feminine and submissive. We have completely different attraction triggers.
Yes, we do. 100%. But look, guys, this is starting to get annoying now because I can't deal with the gender war too much. It just gets it gets annoying after a while. I'm sorry, but go check out the Fresh and Fit podcast. Like I said, they go viral like, I don't know, once every couple times a month on promoting the gender war, triggering women. They go at it and boom, boom, boom. That's what you get to look at. But like I said, it is like your buffet bar. Literally go in, pick out the stuff that you pick out as much of the stuff that you want. Leave the rest. So we're going to leave it here. But I would say goes to the next time. Peace. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Mike, your host. Today we're looking at crew season. Now these brothers here, it's 4 brothers, and they got a podcast. The thing I like about it is you get a diverse group of guys here, right? And the way they talk to each other, it seems like they've known each other for years. They've been friends for years, right? But when the breakdown is that you got two guys who are married, you got one divorced, and then one who's single. Now, the interesting thing about that is because of the diversity, a lot of times you end up with those high-level conversations. What are those? Conversations where we peel back the layers to where we get past the surface stuff and really get at the issues that are plaguing our community. And another thing that I like about these brothers is they hold both men and women accountable. So that's a definite plus, right? All right, so let's go ahead and get this going. We're looking at some YouTube shorts today. Some of these I've seen, some of them I haven't. So let's go ahead and get started.
Much more than that.
Attention.
Definitely. I see what you're saying. You're saying like men simplify it as if it's just sex. I stepped away just for the sex, when in reality there's something much deeper than that, but we don't want to express that part of it.
Because if we just simplified it and said it was just sex, and then came back and said, but I still love you, I feel like it's more than just sex. It was attention. Like you wasn't getting the attention that you wanted from your woman. And rather than just the sex, if she would have gave you attention, you would be right there. You wouldn't have stepped out on her. As a man, if you came in and started speaking to your woman as the things you wanted, things you needed, conversation, and not blowing it over, and instead of stepping out and going to just go have sex. Because in reality, if it's not just sex, it's more than that. You can't conversate with your woman the right proper way. We use that excuse of saying we stepped out relationship to get sex, even though we still love you.
Okay, we can see where this is going, right? Again, high level conversation. And despite what's going on, these brothers are holding brothers accountable. Because despite the narrative, especially on YouTube, sex is not just sex. Because in order for that guy to even him to give into that opportunity, there was a reason why he gave into that opportunity. And a lot of times it is because of lack of attention. So this is a game for both. They're holding brothers accountable, but it's also some good game for women. It's like, men, we like attention too. Or, in another video, we're going to find out what else we like as well. But ladies, if you're not showing your guy attention, you leave your relationship open to you. That man becomes vulnerable to the attention of other women. Now, if you take a dude, I don't care how much he champions monogamy, that brother be starved for attention, and another woman decide to give him some attention, you're leaving the door open. So that's like I said, you hold men accountable, because it's never just it was just sex and that's not a big deal. Nah, because if it was just that, then you would go home and have sex with your woman. So like I said, they hold men and women accountable. We're gonna move on to the next one.
Somebody can't turn their ego off. That's basically what it be. Somebody on one end cannot turn their ego off, because women have egos too. That's just real. You know what I'm saying? And 100%. I feel like ego has no place in your marriage, because that will the same thing that pushes you in your career and your friendships and all that is a detriment to your relationship. The same thing that makes you who you are in your relationship will make your relationship fail, bro. You gotta adjust. You gotta give something. Like Ricky said, you're gonna have to give something to get what you want. And most of the time, most people don't want to give up their ego, because they feel like, man, this is what got me here. This what made me successful. Yeah, it made you successful in what you do and your friendships and what you do in this work life and all this type of shit here. But that'll never make you successful in a relationship. Never. Somebody.
100%. I've said it before, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Relationships are about balance, and sometimes that means that you're gonna have to sacrifice your ego in order to push the relationship forward. This is more accountability. It's not just on men, and it's not just on women. It's about both parties coming together. Now, in order for your relationship to be successful, both egos are gonna have to be sacrificed at some point. At some point you're gonna have to give on things, and a lot of times that means sacrificing your ego. It's just the way relationships work. Very rarely is it where one side is sacrificing and the other is not, those type of relationships tend to end, and they usually don't last because, again, that person who's always sacrificing wears down quickly. And, next thing you know, you in divorce court or somebody's ghosting you and you don't know why. Yeah, again, it's just a good game. Yeah.
When you in a marriage, you paying bills, you taking care of kids, you cooking, you being romantic, you taking care of the car, light bulb in the crib go out, you going to change that, electricity issues, you going to the breaker box. Like you wear a lot of hats in that marriage. And like I said, men thrive off gratitude. So
facts. We just got through talking about the things that men need. Yeah, attention is one, but gratitude is something else. And gratitude and respect can kind of fall in along the same lines. But yeah, as men, we do need that. So if you're in that situation where a guy's not getting that, he's not getting that from his woman, and he's performing. It's a difference if you're not performing at something, and you shouldn't get anything at that point. You get what you deserve. But if you are performing here and not getting something, well, ladies, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, like I said before, you leave your relationship, you leave your man vulnerable to the attention of outside women. If you're okay with that, then hey, rock on, do what you do. I'm not gonna, very rarely I'm not gonna tell you guys what to do or how to make your relationship work, because at the end of the day, we need more. We need more, we need more variations of how working relationships, how people can stay together, because I think that ultimately that's going to lead to increasing the marriage rate. So if you're able to make your marriage work and your man ain't getting no gratitude, hey, I mean, go ahead. But the majority of the time, that's not going to work. It's only going to work for so long. You doing that your own borrowed time. And guys, we know this too. This is the same truth about women too. I mean, if you don't show them any attention, yeah, you leave your relationship open. You leave your woman vulnerable to the attention of an outside man.
We need attention. We need confirmation that us being able to take care of our business, wearing all these hats, that it's appreciated by you. And if it's not, then that's going to make us resent you more than anything. Yeah. Compared to that low maintenance relationship, if I'm single, if I pay for the date and I don't get the ass or whatever, I ain't really tripping. It's all good, whatever. But when it's my wife, somebody that I made vows to, somebody that I'm in charge of taking care of, and they moving as if they don't appreciate all of the effort that I'm putting into this shit, that right there is enough to break a man. When you in a marriage,
100%. Yeah, like I said, when relationships become one-sided, very rarely does that last, and you're usually on borrowed time until that person, they just can't take it. They reach that point of no return or points of diminishing return where they starting to see the future, and it's like, okay, I got to get out of this. And then all of a sudden, now you have that person who's feeling like that. Again, they're susceptible to outside forces. It is what it is. That's why we gotta make sure that we're paying attention to each other. We're giving each other what we need to make the relationship work.
I don't think that's possible. And the reason I would say that is
oh, guys, I just realized that because of the screen size, that you can't really see the caption here. This one says, how to give your woman constructive criticism with no pushback.
Because I could whisper what you're not doing for me, and you're going to take it as me yelling and cussing you out.
Yeah.
Because it's criticism involved. And especially not just criticism from anybody, but criticism to the person that you allegedly love the most in this world. So that's hard to take. So I think as a man, to answer your question directly, you got to rip that Band-Aid off. Not saying cuss out, not saying be extra rude, but just be very, very matter of fact and very, very blunt. And, again, she gonna take it how she gonna take it. Sure, it's gonna be some crying. Sure, it's gonna be some like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not neglecting you. I'm not da-da-da-da. But you gotta stand firm on what it is that you're saying as a man. But oftentimes we don't do that. We'll run into that crying or we'll run into that denial. And be like, man, look, man, I don't want to argue, man. You know what, man, you got it. And every time we do that, we dig a deeper hole for ourselves. I don't think that's...
Yep, 100%. And I think I've seen this one before. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Yeah, I have. Okay, so this is called emotional abuse, where the woman uses her emotional instability as a weapon against you. And it is great advice on how to handle it. You're going to have to stand firm. As this happens all the time. And I would say a lot of times women don't know this is what they're doing. But again, I'm going to put the accountability on the men in this one, because if you're in this situation, you can't give in. You're going to have to stand firm, because otherwise all you're doing is kicking the can down the road. And she's going to feel like, well, she's going to use that excuse of, well, you ain't never tell me. I didn't feel, I never knew. And all of a sudden she gets a tidal wave of emotions. And then you're trying to cater to her emotions to get her to stop crying. And ultimately your issues go unanswered. That's a very dangerous game to play. That's why I said you're gonna have to be a man. I hate that cliche, but it really is. You're gonna have to stand firm in your beliefs. If you think something is wrong, then we have to stand up. We have to say stuff. A lot of time as men, we don't want to, because we're just trying to keep the peace, and we'll just I'll just put it on my back and just carry it. You can't do that. That's a bad way of doing things, because eventually what's happening is that it literally becomes a phrase, the straw that broke the camel's back. Again, that's like I said before, is that all of a sudden you let all this stuff go by for the last 3 months, and then something simple happened, and now you got to bring in all this stuff. Well, I did that because you did this and you did this, and no, that's not the way to do things. You got to be able to stand firm with your woman so that she understands that this is important to you. She may cry about it, but you still have to stand firm, and that's going to tell her how serious the issue is that, and she'll understand at that point. And you guys, of course, have to work it out after that. But don't be an emotional punching bag. That's not worth it. Not worth it.
It's a gratitude thing. We just want to know that everything that we putting into this relationship is appreciated, because we could be just as easily out here moving like your friend's man that they talking to, that they call you and complain about every day. Oh, he not attentive. Oh, he not doing this. He had sex with me. I ain't heard from him. And da, da, da. We could easily be out here moving like them. Just no consideration at all for you. We ain't been enough. Like men make a lot of consideration and sacrifices behind the scenes that our women don't even know about, just to make sure that her life goes as smooth as it possibly can. And it be little things that we pay attention to that we just get done. And we may not even tell you that, but we just doing it. So when we not getting that.
Facts. One of the things that you have to get used to as a guy, especially if you're trying to be a husband, is putting out small fires. And a lot of times, and the reason why you need to do that is because that's your job. Plain and simple. You're going to have to put out a lot of fires that your wife may never even find out about. The thing about it is that women, that's why you need to be appreciative of your man. If this dude has been there, he's wearing all these hats. And I'm not going to get into I think it was another video maybe where Trill gave examples of the hats that the guy wears. I'm not going to get into all that, mainly because you need to work that out in your marriage as to what hats you're wearing. And again, I don't want to prevent anybody from saying from making a marriage work because, oh, this guy on YouTube said men are supposed to do this and you not doing that. No. Our community is in the marriage rates in our community are too low for me to be coming on here talking about specific examples of a marriage. However you're making it work, that's the way you need to make it work. So divide those duties up however you want to. But the important thing is that once it is assigned to you, then you need to be coming through for it. Well, I'm going to leave it at that one. We're going to keep going.
Your woman, man, your woman is your greatest asset, bro. The greatest piece that you got around you is your woman, bro. And if you don't utilize that, bro, hey, that position that you in for the rest of your life, don't blame her, blame yourself. Because you didn't utilize all your pieces on that chessboard.
Yep.
Can you imagine playing chess and only using the left side of your board? That's it. You never moving nothing else. That's the problem. They don't use their woman. They look at their woman like you just said, like children. A great woman is going to make you stronger, bro. It's going to make you stronger, bro. Don't ever forget that. A great woman will make you stronger, but a lot of men, they don't allow their women to make them stronger. They don't allow their women to be great women, which weakens them. Your woman, man.
Yep. Again, I agree 100%. The thing about it is, this speaks to what I was talking about on the last short, is that you guys need to define within the relationship what your roles are going to be. And then you need to let that person be great at it. Because that's a general rule to follow with marriage. Now, as the head of the household, men, it's your job to assess whether or not things are working to the best of their ability. Because sometimes we can get it wrong. And, we give out the wrong person assigned to the wrong role. So as a man, it's your job to say, okay, well, hold on here. Let's reevaluate. We need to come together and reevaluate this thing because this ain't working out we're not reaching the goal like we thought we were going to. We need to make some adjustments here. And then you go from there. But a lot of times, to the issue that he's speaking about is that I've seen this personally where men will hold back their women because they want to stick to a traditional role. But if your wife is better at something than you are, dude, it's called delegation. Let her go handle that. And you need to trust that she's going to handle it well. Prime example is that, the women are supposed to do the cooking and cleaning. Well, that makes sense, except if you're the better cook. Like, especially if you want to throw some kids in the mix. Okay, kids got to eat, bro. And you going to send your woman in there, but you like cooking more than she does. Then y'all divvy up the responsibilities so that it's more favorable to you. If you like cooking more than your wife does, you do the cooking then. Stop getting caught up in this stereotypical stuff. Because if you're going to be great at something, you need to be great at it. It's just what it is. Like I said, the marriage rates are too low for us to be trying to lock in one way to do things. Like I said, we need more examples of different ways to make a marriage work. Ultimately, I think that's the key to increasing the marriage rates in our community.
We don't have all the answers.
That's the thing. Yep.
We don't.
Yeah.
Don't just say just because you the man, the woman needs to follow everything you fucking say. That is not how life goes. It's not it. Y'all both have a role to play in this. And when y'all sit in that fucking car and you think you need to go this way and she says, hey, babe, no, this might be the better route. Let's sit down and talk about this shit. Y'all need to sit down and talk about this. This is not 1940, 1920, 1950, 60. Motherfucker, life costs to live these days. A lot of fucking money.
And getting it wrong costs more.
That's why I make that's why money is in the title of my channel. It's because we need to have a serious conversation. Gone, or all but gone, are the days where you can survive off one income. This is not work. Again, I'm an average man. I'm not a high value man. If you're a high value man, hey, they got channels for you. Go over there. Just being realistic here. Average man like myself, yeah, we in a 2-income household. So yeah, we have to work things out.
And you got people with the same education as you, the same lifestyle as you, grew up in this, maybe a better household than you, learned better decision making than you. And just because you the man, she needs to follow your decision you make. No, y'all need to communicate this shit together and work out the best outcome. We don't have all the answers.
Facts. Yeah, that's just that's being realistic. Your woman is just not there for eye candy, or she shouldn't be. You shouldn't get married to a woman just because she looked good. That's nah. If that's the case, y'all just need to date. But marriage is too important. Raising kids, come on, man. You're supposed to. You shouldn't marry a woman who you don't value her opinion. That's just not gonna work. But we got one more to look at. And let's see.
They say nobody can motivate you to do anything else. But there's certain words people can say to you. Say, hey man, I see this in you. You my man. Like, do this. I know you can do this. Let's get it together. I can help you, work with you. You got to be able to deal with that.
Yeah.
And come back and answer to it. This is not them trying to make you feel like less of a man or less of a person. This is them saying, hey, I know what you could bring to the table. Let's do this together. Everything that they should bring to you is a opportunity for y'all to do it together.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be just hey, I know you can do this, so I need you to do this. It should be, hey, I know you can do this, so let's work together to get this thing done. Because if I know my wife, hey, you want to go to school? Okay, cool. what do we need to do to get you back in school?
Right.
Like that's how
cooperation, working together. Now, earlier I mentioned about delegation. Yeah, that it's a similar situation, but keep in mind, what we have to keep in mind is that the overall goal. That's the difference in just throwing something, you just throwing a task at your wife and just saying, do this. No. We come together and we have a meeting of the minds. We have an issue. Okay, let's discuss the issue. What's the plan of action here? You guys discuss the plan of action. Doesn't matter who came up with it. And then ultimately you guys have to agree on what the outcome is going to be. And then the man, it's your responsibility as head of the household to hold the family accountable and make sure these things are actually getting done. Now, does that mean that you're supposed to be telling your woman what to do and she's just supposed to do it? Absolutely not. Again, who did you marry? Why would you put yourself in a position like that to where your woman is just going to follow your word 100% of the time? Because you don't know everything. And he said that in another video. It's like, stop acting like you know everything, because you don't. There's always going to be something you don't know. And there should be things where your wife is better suited than you are. That's just what it is. Unless you didn't marry the girl, you high value man, and you done married the girl at McDonald's. Like, why would you do that? That woman had to bring more to the table than just looks. Stop marrying women for looks. That's why you end up with a 50% divorce rate. And you keep seeing these guys all over the internet talking about, oh, my wife took me to the cleaners. She took all my money and she never even helped me build my empire. And why did you pick a woman who wasn't an asset to you? That's just plain and simple. We got to start doing better with the women we vet. Just because, again, you should take your wife as good counsel. You should value her opinion. If this woman is bringing all this stuff to the table and, she's bringing it to the relationship, you should value her opinion. If you don't, you probably shouldn't be trying to get married to her. I would say you probably shouldn't deal with her in any form or fashion. It's because people who you don't respect, that usually ends very badly. Yeah, but look, it was great. Finally got to make a video about cruise season. I shouted them out like a couple videos ago, or at least Trill. But I've been trying to get together and figure out something to talk about. Where I was like, okay, I got to get these guys in here sometime because they make great content. Go check out their channel, like and subscribe to this video. Go subscribe to their channel. But guys, I'm out of here. All right, I'm gonna say ghost to the next time. Here, Money, Marriage, and Media, and we're back with another clip today. We're looking at the channel Lapeef Jr. Now, this topic here has been covered so many times, single moms. The difference here is that we've got a panel full of women. Now, I'm a big fan of women holding other women accountable, unless it's within a marriage, then yeah. But no, we're talking about community. It's a community topic, so I'm glad to see that we have a panel of women who are discussing it. And we're going to jump right in and see what we get.
Crazy. The conversation I know that my husband and I have with both of our kids. We have a daughter, and we have a daughter and a son. And I was going to say those conversations that we had around sex and things like that. Their conversations, believe it or not, were exactly the same. In terms of if you get pregnant or if you get someone's pregnant, your life is going to change. Yes. Because there was not going to be any way that it was going to be acceptable in my home for my son to not share in the responsibility of raising and taking care of a child that he fathered. And then the same thing with my daughter. There was going to be no way that you think that you having a child is going to now end up becoming me and your dad's responsibility. Like you're.
Okay, 100%. I full-heartedly agree with that. And I think one of the biggest issues right now plaguing us is the fact that, if I get pregnant, mom and auntie gonna help you raise a baby, and we can go down here to the government office and get you blah blah blah, and basically you can get government assistance. look, if we want to fix our community, we're going to have to fix it ourselves. We can't rely on other people, other government sources or anything like that to come in and try and save us, right? So I'm glad she put it like that, because realistically, when you have a child, your life is over. That's the whole benefit of being in a marriage, is now you have somebody else to partner with who has a vested interest in raising said child that both of you agreed to have in the first place.
Your life is going to change. And so our conversations in regards to what Shan, what you were saying about what can be the solution, is the conversations that you're having with your children, ahead of time. So we talked about sex from when they were younger. So it was never an uncomfortable conversation. Like, we didn't wait till they got 13, 14 and then started the conversation. It was ongoing. And the big push was, this is what we prefer. Like, we'll wait until you get married, those kind of things. But we were like, realistically, we know that may not happen. Based on the stats, more than likely it's not going to happen. Yeah. But this is what you need to do. So, I mean, protection. Taking my daughter to the gynecologist. I mean, I put her on birth control before she even started having sex. And she's like, I don't want to, because it was a stigma in her mind about that. But I'm like, no, because I know what can happen. Like right now, yes, you're not having sex, but my thing is, I want you to get in the habit of making sure that you prevent that, because you get caught up in your emotions and it can happen just like that.
So what we have here is Miss Taken is married, because I had to confirm that in another video. But what we have here is a husband and wife who are taking active precautions in preventing, teen pregnancy. I love that part of the conversation, because we have to get this. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to create a channel where average people start having high level conversations, because there's not enough of average people talking about this particular issue and providing like actual solutions. Like, it's great we can sit here and complain about, don't date single moms and all this other stuff. Okay, well, why don't we start having more conversations about, taking care of that issue before it happens? Very important, very important.
Son, buying condoms, keep them with you at all times. You need to re-up. Like, it wasn't an uncomfortable conversation. Neither one of them had any children. My son is married right now. My daughter's in a relationship. And when I say she's on point with that birth control, she don't play. She does not play.
Good.
I think that's the solution. A lot of times as parents, we don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations with our children. And I think that's to their detriment that we don't.
I would. No, you can go ahead. Okay, thank you. So I would say, in general, both to young women and older women alike, if you can't trust them with your heart, don't trust them with your body. Right. That's one.
That's facts.
Because when we go having babies, we take for granted that, like, you risk your own life. Like, we're putting our lives at risk to carry forth life. And yeah, women are doing it every day, but like, it's an actual thing, right? So, just be mindful who you're risking your life for, essentially, because you're risking your life when you just trust them to be having raw sex with them anyway.
Let's see. I've seen Lady Mogulette speak before. This seems like a tough topic for her. I'm not sure if she's a single mom, or maybe it's just she feels uncomfortable about it. But when you compare to what Miss Taken, the conversation, what she was talking about, to the Lady Mogulette now, it almost seems like you can tell that Miss Taken that she's had these conversations in her household. And that's, like I said, man, that becomes so important, is that we got to start talking about these things more and get it more out in the open, particularly with our kids. I think that if the more we talk about it, the more we talk about preventative measures, the better off we'll be. Are they 100%? No, because it's still going to happen. But getting the conversation out in the open means that there is a higher chance, there's a higher probability that we're able to peel back the layers and demystify these things.
But then you're risking your life again.
In other words, the more you talk about it, the more comfortable it becomes.
And by giving birth to another baby, or giving birth to a baby, and bringing a baby into the world, and then you're risking your mental health and your quality of life and all those things. So, yeah, so just in a nutshell, if you can't trust them with your heart, don't trust them with your womb. The other thing I would say that would be like a solution is...
I don't necessarily agree with that, because it never fails. I'm almost certain that if you ask every teen mom, did she love that guy? The majority, the overwhelming response is going to be, well, yes, we love each other. Okay. So you really just put it all in her hands, because every teen girl is going to tell you the same thing. Well, yeah, we're in love, and yeah, so that makes it okay. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. What? Okay, let's keep going.
Just focus on like yourself until you find your husband. Like, don't plan for it. Like, I don't know. This whole thing is so ass backwards. I see some of these women talking about having a baby just to have a baby and saying you don't need the man. The man is definitely needed. I thought I was on mute.
Oh my God! Yes.
We need a man. The man is needed in the household. Like, the man is needed to be a part of the child's life. So,
on one hand, I'm glad they brought that up, but the sad part is, when you look at these ladies, do any of them look like they're under the age of 25? No. Sadly, one of an interesting statistic to look up would probably be what's the average age for women to have their first child? Because I'll be honest, none of these ladies look like they all look like they probably around 30 and up. I know Mistaken is, because she talking about she got like her son is married, so we ain't gonna hold no mystery there, but yeah, it's great to hear ladies talk about that. I just wish it was happening with younger women as well, because the majority of the time, single moms, like, I got to look up the stats, but it feels like, and I hate saying that, but it feels like it's women in their 20s who tend to do that. It seems like there are more women in their 20s who are having that first child out of wedlock. So, I get, like I said, we got to get more information out there. We got to start having this conversation on more than one platform. So, but like I said, this is great to have, because I'm still impressed, because we get to see women talk about these things when there are no men present on the panel. So it's always interesting. But let's keep it going.
Like, just don't do it. If just don't do it. Like, just don't do it. Like, you see, these days, kids see so many examples of what it's like, because I feel like there are almost way more broken homes and single parent households than there are two parent households, or
100%. I mean, they don't feel like in that. We know the statistics there. It's only, and on the male side, we're only married to 30, our marriage rate's 30%. That means that, let's see, marriage is 30%, and let's say around 50% of us are single and childless. So about 20% of guys are out there having a bunch of kids, but out of wedlock. But on the women's side, it's literally, it's a lot worse than that. I think it's about, I have to double check it, but it's more than 20% of women who are having children out of wedlock. I can say that much. So if there are more single parent households in our community than there are marriages. So we got to change that. But I mean, again, it starts with getting the information out there. And the other part of that is, again, is we got to have this conversation about average people. Well, what are average people doing? That's why I'm saying this multiple times because it's that important to me. Like, the high value conversation is great to have, and we got enough videos on that. We need to start hearing more from average people, because there are not enough of us out here to, and one way we can start making changes in the community is if we're starting to see content from average people, because then that closes, that peels back the layer and demystifies what's actually going on in our households.
Families that are bringing children into the world within wedlock, like, you know.
I think a lot of single mothers hurt themselves, and they kind of put themselves in a depression stage, especially when they're pregnant, and then they know that the father is not going to really be around. When I had my last one, I knew that, like, it was over. So what I did was I went to therapy. I had a male therapist and I had a female therapist, and they were so awesome that after I had my last one, it was like I didn't even go through depression. Like, I didn't go through, I just, like, it was just so amazing. I would recommend that to anyone, because we can say don't do it, but we know that things like that is going to happen. So it's like, sometimes I wish that a lot of single mothers can talk about a solution, about pushing through. When I left at home, that I was with this man, we had a house together, we had all these things, but wasn't married. I just wasn't happy, and I left with those kids, and I risked it all. Like, I moved to a whole other state. I was in this, and then most of those men, they tell us that we're not going to be anything. You're not going to be anything without me. You can't make it without me. And I just wish that mothers could be like, man, just, like, push through it. Don't worry about what another man gonna say, because I promise you, my dad.
You know, kudos for her for having to go through all that and pulling through, and I'm glad she went to therapy. But why would you want to have a child with a man that's going to treat you like that? That goes back to, you want to try and link this stuff together. It goes back to what Lady Mogulette said. If you don't trust him with your heart, don't trust him with your body. Clearly, she trusted that guy with her heart, and it still ain't work out. So, you know, that's, again, you feel the nature of, you got to break up your home, and you created a single parent household. Why? Because you weren't happy. Because you picked the wrong guy. You know, one of the things that we got to start doing is we got to ask, you know, it's sad to say, like I said, I understand that, but we got to start asking, who vetted that guy for you? I'm serious, man, because this is getting old. It's like, you know, there are too many single parents in our community, single moms. We need to start questioning, like, okay, how are these men getting vetted that you're with? I'm gonna have to, we got to figure out a solution to this. I think that is at the root of the problem right there. How are these men being vetted? And then, why are you agreeing to have a child? Well, you might not even be agreeing with it, but why are you having a child with a man who doesn't believe in marriage? So yeah, we got to start having that conversation, because statistically, you know, it's common knowledge 2-parent households are the best environment to raise a child in, but yet and still we keep having all these kids out of wedlock. Why? I don't know, but we got, like I said, I think, you know, the 3 topics are the way we turn our community around: money, marriage, and media. So, but this is a good conversation to have. Like I said, we need more of it. We didn't find really we got kind of a solution here from Miss Taken, and we need to go back over that, because I'm not gonna let that slide. We can't just overlook that. She said her and her husband, keyword husband, were having conversations with the boy and the girl, because she's got 2 kids, about, you know, about protection and sex education, which was important. She said they started young, which that may be the, we got to have that uncomfortable conversation. I'm not looking forward to that because my kids aren't there yet, but they will be soon. So we're definitely going to have it, because the alternative is that, yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks for for tuning in. I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. Media, and we're back again. We're looking at another panel of women, right? Lapeef JR is the channel. The title of this one was Kevin Samuels right about single mothers? Hopefully we get to a high level conversation. Let's hope so. The only thing left to do is we're just gonna play it and find out. Yeah. Remember, gender war is dumb. Let's go.
On this route, I think it's absurd.
It sounds good, but grandparents are raising the kids of single moms. Also, back on the stepdaddy market. After Kevin, the market is dry. Time to adapt.
They just whatever they said hit a point about that whole Kevin Samuels is influencing that whole high value men, that thing. That's what I mean when I was saying earlier about like asking guys if what's more accepted in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They
That's
are
what they
being
said on my
fed
TikTok
that narrative, and they are going with that. They are
going with what?
Like that whole. I would rather date a woman who was
a
widowed or a widowed, anything under the laws or whatever of marriage versus someone that was even engaged or in a.
Yeah, she's stumbling through it, but what she's saying is true. And the basic reason behind it is because that woman has a history of cooperating and working in a partnership with a man, i.e. some kind of long-term relationship. The best would probably be a woman who has already been married, because there's a history there, depending on whether or not, what was the reason for divorce. Obviously, a woman who has been widowed, and versus, well, look, let's just keep going, because you guys get the idea. Not that complicated.
Whatever.
It's just a lot of men, they don't want to deal with like mothers not knowing how to. It's a lot of mothers that just don't know how to parent their kids, and the man come in and some of the kids disrespect them. They said that they don't like to deal with things like that. That's what they were saying on the TikTok.
Yeah, she's
but
right.
I just feel like I just hate how men say that all the grandparents raising the kids of the single mothers. Not every mother wants to go out to the club. Not every mother wants to do these things. You have mothers that just actually being mothers and sacrificing it all. Like every mother is not a live-in deadbeat mom, because there's a lot of those. We know that. We know a lot of moms is not feeding their kids. They just drop their kids off with anybody. It's a lot of moms like that, but I'm not.
I'm just curious about the whole market is dry comment. Like this, is that insinuating that a woman doesn't have options? Like, because regardless of what somebody's personal feelings are, there's always, and we all know this as women, there is always some man somewhere that is okay with something another man is not, right? If you are not, like, if you are not somebody who wants to be a stepdad, who wants to take on somebody, which like, that's great for you. I hope that you get what you're looking for, but it's almost like there's like this shame thing where like men have to be on this code, and if we don't all like the same thing, like it's okay if you don't want it for yourself, but if another man is okay with that, I don't see what the point of telling women, like instead of telling women find you a man that's okay with taking on your children, we're saying you don't have options. Like I think
that's not true.
No, and it's weird.
Honey, we know that's not true. But the thing, it's so crazy to me because I think that people forget that there's a whole market of men who don't even want more children. They know to be with a woman who doesn't have kids means I have to have more kids. And I've already had my kids, just like you have your kids, and we come together and like, look, we have a blended family together. Or I mean, I guess it depends on where you are. I haven't run into that. I see it on the internet a lot, but the reality is I don't see that in real life at all.
Okay. Yeah, this is the whole, well, that's not my reality. Okay. All right, fair enough. Like I've said this before, we keep track of things from marriage over here on this side of the camera. So I do agree with the fact that just because you're a single mom, that's not a death sentence. You can overcome that. You just have to increase your value in other ways. But to say that like what they're saying is very dangerous because it makes the presumption that I have all these options and it's okay if you made the mistake of having a child out of wedlock, you can still recover and it's easy because all these guys are hitting me up. Hitting you up for what? We can't move past that point. And I'm gonna be disappointed if nobody brings it up because what they should be at what somebody who is logical should be asking is to say, okay, what are these options for? Is it for sex or for marriage? Because most women want to be married. Now, if you don't want to be married, then yeah, you're right. But to be honest here, when guys see single mom, the majority of the time, it pops in their head. It's just for sex. Are there guys out there that would try and build a relationship? Yeah, but that's a small number, and it becomes even smaller when you start thinking about, okay, is that the guy that she wants? That's why I said this is a dangerous conversation because we're writing excuses for bad choices. That's just like saying that, okay, well, the guy's 40 and he's broke, and he's living with his mom. Well, I don't believe I've got to go out and earn a living. There's going to be a woman out there for me, and she's going to be pretty too. Okay, sure.
That's just me, though. I don't know.
I'll also say it depends on the quality of man that you're looking for.
Oh, I have high quality.
No. I was saying
She's right. It does depend on the quality of man that you want because, lower quality guys, more average guys. I'm average, so I can speak on this. We have less options than high value men do. So it is something that, it might be something that we're willing to work with. But again, is that really the guy that you're wanting though? You have all the options in the world. If none of them are the guy that you want, what was the point? What's the point in saying that? Because you get a little tally mark on the YouTube argument side. You get a tally mark on the gender war side that says, oh yeah, we got this one. I've said this before. The gender war is dumb.
I forgot her. She's right. Okay. Not you, but
Inez.
Yes, what you were saying about the options thing. I think that it depends on like what you were saying, like you do have options. It's just like, what are you looking for and stuff like that.
I don't think it depends on the quality of men either. Like when we look at these high earner men, like a whole lot of them have been taking on women who already had children. And so like, I don't.
So where are the marriages? I mean, if what she says is true, then why is the marriage rate in the toilet in our community? I usually like watching the ladies because a lot of what they say is, particularly this show, they like to back up what they say with data and statistics. If you don't have data and statistics, then personal experience is the next best thing. But I want to see if anybody mentions, the marriage rates, because if these guys are doing exactly what she says, where are the marriages?
Don't think your income, your status, or any of that stuff takes any sort of factor. I think it really is, and I know how the internet works. Russell Wilson is not.
None of that stuff matters. Oh, okay. Well, then they should be able to date. Then guys, you don't have to go out and make a lot of money. You don't even have to earn a living. Just go find you a woman who's already got kids. She'll take care of you. Right. I got some swampland to sell you too. Yeah, it's right outside. It's right outside the Disney World, right outside the castle. Yeah.
Not the only example. There are a multitude of them. There are high earning, high quality men that don't have a problem with it. And so saying that a woman doesn't have options because she's gone this route, I think is absurd.
I have to push back on that. Not to say that she
Thank
doesn't
you.
have options, but there is a level in terms of her options are limited. Like when you look at both and you compare a single woman with no kids versus a single woman with kids, and let's say in terms of looks and everything else, they're on the same scale. 9 times out of 10, you are going to have that man that's going to choose the woman that doesn't have kids, because having children comes with an additional set of responsibilities outside of just having a relationship.
Another
And
relationship.
so, is not to say that you won't ever be able to find a mate. Like my uncle, like all of his marriages, he's been married 3 times. And in every single one of those marriages, the woman had children. So that wasn't an issue for him. But for some other men, that is an issue. So does it mean that you're not ever going to find anybody? No, but may it take a little longer than somebody else without kids? It's possible. But I understand what you're saying in terms of the narrative of trying to make women think that you just need to go ahead and take whatever you want because you have children, when that's not necessarily the case. But your options are going to be somewhat limited when compared to those who don't have any children at all.
And I want to say too, I think the emphasis is whether you are in your life. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for me, I'm 44. It's not hard to find men who've been there and done that, because I'm not dating the 35-year-old, the guy who has no kids and he's got, I'm dating the 50-year-old guy who has kids, maybe even a grandkid.
Damn good, by the way.
Thank you. And he has a great profession. And he is a high value man, and so we have things in common. We are looking for more of a companionship. We're not looking to start a legacy over again. Maybe he's a widow or maybe he's divorced, so those are people are forgetting there are men who are in different times in their life. They're different paths, and they
Notice she said dating and not marriage. Just an observation. I mean, again, if you're not trying to get married, then it doesn't matter. And if you're not trying to get married, I agree with her 100%. But if you are trying to get married, then I'm a strong believer in, if you want to get married, it's strong advice for women. If you want to get married, don't waste time dating guys who don't. It's just a way. All you're doing is wasting time.
they've already experienced certain things and they're just not looking for that. And to the person who is saying, you're looking for somebody to date and not to marry. No, sir. I don't deal with those type of people. I think that that's a type of man. And
wait, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Well, I guess it does. If you're not looking to get married, then like I said, I agree with her 100%. But if you are, and you've been with the guy for 6 months, particularly the age group that she's talking about, because the older we get, the more decisive we are as what we want, and decisive men tend not to linger about things. 6 months, a year, 18 months at the max. After that, no, I'm just wasting your time. Again, when the older we get, the more decisive we get. The quicker we know if we want to marry somebody. Especially the type of guys that she's talking about who have already been married before. They've been divorced, or they're a widower. Yeah, they already know what kind of wife they want. If that's you, we're gonna make that known, and it's gonna be obvious. So I'm not sure what's going on here. I don't know. Let's see if we get this gets cleaned up.
I'm trying. I don't want to say things, but I don't want to be rude or to be. I gotta watch my mouth. Okay, let me just shut up. Okay, it's a certain type of man. There are men who will do you that way, and then there are men who are respectable men, and they want to honestly date you with intention. There are men who do that. Believe it or not, I know we have tons of men who are like, oh, they're all dogs. That's not true at all.
So I just think it's really funny that like sometimes like a lot of men will see a single mother and feel like the single mom is looking for a daddy for her kid. No, baby. Sometimes we need a zaddy for mama. Okay? So I'm gonna need them to stop jumping to conclusions with that. I just had to throw that little humor in there because that's why a lot of guys run away from the whole idea. Think that single mom is looking.
Okay, and I'm telling you right now, is most guys realize that burden of performance, you can only deal with a single mom for so long before you need to start contributing to the household resources. That's just what it is, and the majority of those resources are going to that child who's not yours. So most guys, that's why most guys really shy away from it. Now again, if you're dealing with an average man, there may be some value there that you can add to his life that he'll actually commit to you in that situation. I think there's a lot of untapped potential in average men, particularly if you're a single mom. But you gotta. Okay, we need to have an honest conversation here, and I'm probably going to end up having to make another video about this just so it becomes the focus. But we've all heard this before, and they mentioned Kevin Samuels, so I'm gonna go ahead and say this: fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive, and childless. Right, the 6 big things that he says that that high value men are looking for. That's where it starts at. 100% agree. But you know what? The thing that doesn't get talked about is that what is it for an average man? Well, believe it or not, most average men will take 3 out of 6. Oh yeah, so that leaves a lot of room for negotiations, right? So that's why I say being a single mom is not a death sentence, because the guy may be willing to overlook it. Now, if you've got some other qualities that you're bringing to the relationship. But here's the caveat to that. Each guy is going to value different things. So you got to find a guy who's going to value the qualities that you're good at. And I would say, and the other thing you got to be careful of is ladies, I'm going to tell you that because this is another popular YouTube talking point. Well, I'm just working on myself. Guys, I'm going to tell you the secret right now. Leave those women alone. If she can't tell you what specifically she's working on, if what she's working on is not of value to you, then that means that woman is going to waste your time, because she's already picking the things that are important to her, and that's what she's working on. But if you're the one that's supposed to propose to her and offer commitment and offer the marriage, then she needs to be working on things that are important to you. Now, if she's already got those things, okay, well, great. That's even better. But if she doesn't, then don't waste that woman's time, because more than likely she wants a marriage, and you're probably not the guy that's going to provide the lifetime of commitment to her. Just move on, go get somebody else. Now, again, what I would say to the women is that I gave you 6. Fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive, and childless. Okay, so if you're a single mom, childless is off the table. Well, you still got 5 other categories where you can go. You can be above average in that. It will raise the value of you already having a child or kids. That's just the way. But that's how a single mom can overcome things. It's the same thing with the wall. When guys talking about, especially on YouTube, they talk about, oh, the women hit the wall at this age. Okay, but the wall can be overcome. You can break through it, but you go back to them six categories, right? Them 6 qualities. Okay, well, which one of those are you going to be above and beyond on? Because that can roll back the clock. I would say that. I've heard a wise man once say that, women don't mature. They don't finish maturing, or they don't actually mature until they've had a reduction in their options, because it's at that point that they realize, oh my God, you know what? I may want to work on myself, and that's how I can start getting some of my options back. 100% true. But look, we're gonna leave it here. I'm going to say ghost to the next time. Peace. Yeah, and today we're back with the ladies again, right? Chic critique. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. My wife and I were having a discussion last week talking, relationship stuff, and I brought up the fact that women don't hold other women accountable. And her counterpoint was, yes, we do. We just don't do it in public. I said, okay, yeah, right. I don't believe it because I've seen this stuff, and the sister code is real or whatever. But hey, you know what? I'm open to the possibility that I could be wrong. Wise man once said that, and I think we're about to see some accountability from the ladies here on She Critique. So look, we don't need to hold back anymore. Let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's see what happens.
With the bad guy, and that's why you got in a situation. And in actuality, I feel like I dealt with a great man, and it just did not work. It's not. I think they have this narrative that we all mess with that bad guy who was something, wasn't a good guy, and we ended up pregnant. When some of us were really good catches, really good.
They think that all of them are Pookie and Ray Rays.
Ray Ray.
Yeah, no, that's a big misconception. A lot of the times, it's just a situation where the relationship doesn't work out. I mean, you could argue that the bigger issue that men are, men like myself are concerned about is you didn't marry before you had the child. That is a big issue, single parenthood. And then, but also is that you're having a baby with a man who doesn't want to have a baby. That should be a red flag, because it leads to that. Okay, look, we're getting off topic here because that's a whole nother video, and at some point I'm gonna have to address that. But right now, again, we're talking with the ladies, so we're here to hear their perspective, and I'll come back.
That your baby daddy was a Pookie or Ray Ray.
Yes, and it's quite the opposite for some people,
We actually planned our daughter. Like we planned. Like I detoxed for 30 days. Like he wanted his daughter. We had our wedding date set. We were engaged, so we just went ahead and did it. It was that, he was a cool guy. He just wasn't a cool guy for me, I guess. So it didn't work out. But that's.
She seems so cavalier about it, and it's probably because I've never heard her talk about this, so it's probably it may be less of her being cavalier and more of her nervous about sharing her own story. Because I mean, you saying this on YouTube, literally thousands of people are going to see it. You may not be open to having that much of your personal life on YouTube. I'm not. My wife and I, we had that discussion. She doesn't want to be on YouTube, so she's going to stay off. That's why, and same thing with the kids. We're not putting them on YouTube. So totally understandable. It's just like I said, I noticed that I've heard her speak. I've heard Lady Mogulette speak before, and this is the first time that I'm noticing her voice is different. It's definitely different.
That's how it goes sometimes,
I wonder if that rhetoric just comes from women who demonize a partner that it hasn't worked out with, or is it men who want
the ladies are nodding their heads. Y'all see that? Okay.
to look at themselves as better than, who kind of spin that. I'm curious where this rhetoric comes from. Like I'm not a mom myself, so like I can't speak from my own experience, but I'd love to hear, because you ladies are saying your experience is totally different. So where does this narrative come from?
Hold on. Earlier I did a video where this lady, Inez, I think that's her name, was talking about all these single moms. The single moms have all these options. She not a mom. How she know? So, man, okay. We're going to keep moving. I'm going to pretend like I didn't see that other video.
I feel like it does come from that.
Narrative. I'm
sorry.
What's the narrative? I just want to follow along.
Yeah, I'm confused too. The narrative of, a woman becomes a single mom because she's dealing with a bad guy that, like, it's either a Pookie or Ray Ray or somebody who's abusive or, was a narcissist, because that's the popular thing to talk about. Like, there's always this narrative of the other partner being bad, right? So where does that come from if that's not a common experience?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think I mean, it is a common experience. And when I went before,
See how see how her voice is different now. She's more confident in what she's saying. I think what we were watching before was a preview, so I think we're still going to get to that point. But she's speaking very confidently about what she's talking about. There's no indecisiveness.
before I healed from what was taking place between my daughter's father and I when we had our communication breakdown, I could say that I was in a space where I was playing victim. Um, Not to say there weren't things that didn't call for that, but I think that does happen a lot when we as women choose wrong and then feel bamboozled and then act as though we didn't choose that person for ourselves.
Bam, she said it right there. It's in color and we have it recorded. It's on YouTube. You guys go watch this show. It's exactly what I told you. Women holding other women accountable. And she just ate a big chunk of humble pie right there. It takes a lot to admit that. And we're not gonna just walk right by it because it's important. Now, because again, that's the first step in the healing process. So obviously she mentioned that this was before, and obviously we're in the after now. So that's insinuates some kind of healing had to take place. Very powerful stuff. Very powerful. High level conversation. I love it. Let's go.
And so we then turn around and be like, oh, he's a bad guy. He's a bad guy. No, he just was a bad guy for you. Like you guys brought
100%. 100%. That's what's going on. A lot of times that's what's happening, and we just fail. Our ego won't let us admit to that. It's, well, I'm perfect in my head and he's not matched. He doesn't match with me because he's a bad guy. And let's be honest, men do this too. I'm the man. She's just a hoe. You still picked her. Don't act like that, dude. Cause you weren't talking that stuff before y'all had issues. You weren't talking about that. So no, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Brought that out of each other. So now that he was a bad guy for you, you want to make it seem like he's a bad guy in general when y'all just weren't meant for each other, or
Facts.
we just weren't meant for each other. And because we were out of order in how we were dealing with each other, things unfolded the way they did. But he's the same guy that he was when you met him. Maybe, give or take a few things that he may have learned from the experience with you, but he's the same person. So I think it does happen. I mean, it does happen, like, where I feel like even when guys introduce us to their representatives, like, that's on us. We supposed to discern. We supposed to vet properly. We supposed to figure certain things out. So if we don't, it's just on us. So.
Oh man, she is killing it right now. And I agree 100%. Now, at some point, we got to start having a conversation about the vetting process. Because, believe it or not, I don't put if women are left to their own devices to vet a man and she doesn't get it right, I don't put all the onus on her. Because in general, women are not that great at picking guys. You know who is great at picking guys though? Dads. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, a guy who's half my age is gonna have a hard time pulling the wool over my eyes just because I was him. So yeah, and I will 100% be, like I said, I have daughters, so I will 100% be vetting the guys that that they're dating or they want to date or court, 100%. Because like I said, now the other side of it, because we've all talked about that before. The thing we don't talk about is that guys, believe it or not, you have an untapped resource in your mother when it comes to vetting a potential wife. Now, I'm not saying that. Let's rephrase that. What I am saying is that at some point, the woman that you're seeing and your mother need to have a one-on-one conversation. They need to be able to sit down and talk. Why? Because women don't fall for other women's BS, right? Because heterosexual women don't care how fine she is. Like that stuff doesn't mean anything to them. Same thing with the guys. I don't care how fine he is. That ain't mean nothing to me. Is he responsible? You know, does he have character? That's what I'm going to judge my daughter's potential men. That's what I'm going to judge their potential husbands off of. How much character you got? And if I sniff out that you ain't about nothing, okay, well then yeah, she stand here with me. I'm not handing her over to your protection. That's not gonna work. So, but yeah, mothers are very good at that. You know, they can test a woman's femininity without it blowing up, without you doing it. Because if you try and do it, a lot of times women will blow up in you. But let your mom do it. Let her have a conversation with your mom. Let her have a few conversations with your mother. If she passed the mother test, there you go. Because remember, as a man, the only woman who loves you unconditionally is your mother. She wants the best for you. Why not let them have a conversation? Now, does that mean that you're going to let your mother pick your wife? No, you shouldn't do that. You should 100% be able to do that. All I'm saying is that it's good to seek outside counsel of a woman, particularly your mother. But we're getting way off topic here, okay? But that stuff had to be said because it's a side conversation in relation to the general topic here. But let's get back to it.
Well, I do feel like that happens when we like kind of put ourselves in a place of like victim and don't really call it for what it is, which is just the fact that, you know, the person that we selected just wasn't the person we were supposed to have selected for ourselves in that way.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I love, like you, I think you kind of like, you said it perfectly, like in those words. Because as I stated, like the person, the father of my child, he was my high school sweetheart, and we went separate ways. And as I said, I doubled back to something that I thought I wanted, you know, trying to make him into the person, because we were still friends and we were really great friends, because he was a great person, or what I thought. He just wasn't the person, you know, meant for me, you know, or, you know, right, how we kind of use the term or the phrase right person, wrong time.
Translation: he was your friend so he could have sex with you. And once he started having sex with you, then you got to see the real him. Friendships, men and women can't be friends. That's just, no.
So it's like he was still the same person that he was, and it's just like I expected it to be something different, and he wasn't showing up, you know, to be that person that I had kind of made him out to be in my own head.
Yeah, because he just wanted you for sex. Men definitely compartmentalize women like that. He didn't see you as a wife. He just saw you as somebody to have sex with. It's sad to say, but she just told you that's what's happened. That's what she said happened. They were friends before, then they got together, and she wasn't like she wasn't seeing him be a potential husband. So all of a sudden they got a fallout going on. Yeah, why wasn't he a potential husband? Because he didn't see her marrying her.
But
for me, I think that the knowledge I have today, it would have been a little different than in the past, because I'm not an adventurous. Well, back in the day, I'm a little bit more adventurous now, but in the past, I was not. So when it was time to move for career change, because my child's father is that career guy. He is the epitome of that go-getter. He is going to get it. That has always been him, but I didn't see it. I'm more of a country girl, you know. I like my space. I like the South. I know it's so old school, but that's just how I am. And he was a northern guy. Like, look, we got to move to so and so and so and so. And I'm like, no, we don't. We can stay right here. But that's where opportunity was. And so that distance kind of, you know, so it had nothing to do with our personality, so to speak. It was really just distance. He had a bigger dream, a bigger goal, and it worked out great for him, you know. But I'm just a Southern girl who just.
Okay, so I want to address what she's talking about now, because a lot of women find themselves in Shan Mona. Your name is Shantae. Stop playing. But anyway, a lot of women find themselves in that predicament, and they want the high value man, but a lot of times they're not willing to put up with the lifestyle that comes with that. High value men are going to work. They are workaholics, and they're always striving to be the best, and they're willing to do what it takes to be successful. Like she talked about moving. It sounds like he moved to another part of the country. Yeah, they're going to go where the money is. All right. And you have to be willing to deal with that. She wasn't. And I think I've seen her on this show before talking about, well, we won't get into that. We're going to stay focused on the video. But my recap on this is a great video. You guys need to go subscribe to Lapeef JR, the channel. And we're going to be definitely looking at some more from She Critique, because like I said, these women hold other women accountable. And I'll be the first to admit it. My wife was right. Women do hold other women accountable. But the caveat is that we got to start seeing that more on camera, because what we see on camera now is that, well, women are delusional. And then the actions on camera back that up. And women don't hold other women accountable. It's the sister code, and no matter how wrong a woman is, they're never going to admit her being wrong. Clearly, that's not the narrative. And we discovered that today. So we need more women who are, we didn't get it here. We didn't really get it in this video, but we need more women who are wives to start speaking up. Because that's part of, the gender war is dumb, and part of the reason it is because there's too much mystery going on between men and women. We need more representation of married couples on YouTube, so we can start demystifying these differences that are between us and figure out how we can work together to coexist. Because remember, at the end of the day, we need each other. Okay, relationships are about compromise. So how are we going to fit things together if the women and men who are doing that and who are doing it successfully never say anything? Again, that's why I started this channel, because we need more average people speaking up. All right, guys, this is a great clip. Man, I love the conversation here, but we're going to leave it there. I'm going to say goes to the next time. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Media, my name is Mike, your host, and today we're back again with We Need to Talk. This video just dropped like an hour or two ago, or maybe longer than that. I don't know, but it's new. I haven't seen it. We're going to watch it, so let's go.
Well, I wouldn't say that I talk over a guy every time he's trying to express how he feels.
Do you think you're aware? Do you think you're aware?
Not all the time. I'm not aware.
That's the point. And you don't know that one time that did it for him, where he's like, she don't want to hear what I have to say.
Listen, it's the message right here.
Copyrights? No, we move it on. Let's see. Here.
And you're a man. You're a black man in particular. What kind of black man would you be?
Oh, this one again.
I would be. I don't know. I would just be cool.
What does cool look like?
I would be.
Exactly. What does that mean?
I would want to be educated. Well, I would be educated. And I would be, I don't know, more in touch with my feelings.
What does that look like? What does in touch with your feelings look like?
No, it isn't.
Because we get that criticism a lot. Like, we're not in touch enough with our feelings.
Right.
So
and
what would that look like?
I don't feel like the whole world should have to nurture you to be in touch with your feelings. This whole thing is going on about men's mental health. Well, women have been going through things for centuries, and we have to deal with it regardless. So,
and the question was, what type of man would you like to be? But all of a sudden, we're having a conversation. She just moved the goalpost to talk about women's mental health. Not high-level conversation. Yeah, that's a little disappointing. I got faith in Alan. I'm sure he will clarify what he means and get us back on track. Please, because I don't want to go down a rabbit hole.
I feel like as a human, if you know that you have mental issues, you should get help or do whatever you need to do to deal with that. Like, just because you're a man doesn't mean, like, you decide not to feel feelings or, you know, have emotions and things like that. So,
who is a man that you feel like, and it could be a celebrity, it could be a movie character that is in touch with their feelings? Because if we're going to criticize men, we have to
insert crickets. Is she, the real question is she, is the concept that she's talking about, is it a Disney fairy tale? Let's see what she answers with.
to give them something to strive towards. Be more like.
I don't know, because I don't know any men celebrities. Like, we don't really know them. We don't know if they are in touch with their feelings.
But just based on their
I would
persona.
say maybe. I don't know.
How much you want to bet this woman is single? Because what it's starting to sound like is that she doesn't know men that well, and she has this unrealistic expectation of how men are supposed to be. It's very dangerous to do that because it means that no one would ever live up to your expectations. That goes back to what we were talking about before about, you know, once you get married, if all you've seen is, you know, people, you've been paying attention to the Disney fairy tale of they got married and everything just worked out and they went down the road happily ever after. Well, it's fruit from the poisonous tree. What I mean by that is that if your expectations are this is how things are going to go, and they don't work out like that, and you're just willing to you have to throw the whole tree away. When the real issue is that you weren't raised to work in cooperation with a man, so you don't understand how we think or why we do the things we do. So again, you know, that question about what type of man would you be is a great opener for a high level conversation. It's always interesting to see how women answer it, but this is all right. Let's keep going. It's got to get. Alan has a history of it getting better, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's go.
Who do I feel like is in touch with their feelings? I don't know. Maybe like, I feel like Chris Brown is.
Okay.
Brown.
Let me indulge you for the sake of this.
I feel like
what
he
about
is.
Chris Brown makes you feel like he's in touch with his feelings? He gets it.
His music, his art, and his way of expressing himself.
What if he's not writing his own songs?
Uh-oh.
He's singing it the way he wants.
He took that in a different direction than I would have went, because Chris Brown's past says, well, hey, okay.
Wants to sing it.
So it's not about being...
And he has to have some kind of attachment to it.
So it's not about being in touch with your feelings. It's about being able to display as if you are.
No.
Okay, explain.
Because that's what I...
That's what she just said. You can't make this stuff up, man. That's what she just said. He just said, well, what if he's not writing his own lyrics? Well, he can show it. That's what she just said. Oh, my God, bro. Come on.
I just said, we don't know if they're really in touch with their feelings or not. They could just be pretending. You know? A lot of people pretend. And then a lot of y'all pretend and then go to say, oh, I'm really sad. Well, then you shouldn't have pretended to be something.
Who is she talking about? She just said that she can't think of anybody. But all of a sudden, oh, that's what y'all do. Well, who is y'all? You just said you couldn't name anybody.
I mean, you weren't.
Do you know why men do that?
Why?
Because they feel like women aren't ready for our emotions.
Why?
Yeah.
Because no one is saying that.
Because women are not equipped to handle masculine problems.
Your feelings aren't valid ever.
Everybody's saying that.
How?
To be a man.
I feel like men feel like that because we say something about the stuff that we don't like. Like, men are used to us being quiet. I mean, women have been downplayed for a long time now. Like, being told to just be in the house and have kids and cook and clean, and now being told to cook and clean and go to work and pay 50-50 on the bills. And
if the discussion was about men, why are we talking about women?
so, I mean, women have to deal with the same thing.
So you say women have to deal with this?
No, she did not just say that. Is she trying to hint that men and women are the same?
Same thing as men.
No.
Okay, so what do
As
you
far
know-
as mental issues and mental health, women have mental health issues just as much as men, I feel like. Just because men feel like they can't speak on it, well, maybe you need to learn how to speak on it and be more open and say how you really feel instead of...
But my question to you was, why do men feel that way?
This is another woman who does not put any thought into the male experience. You should just speak up and that'll solve all your issues. Yeah, because no man has ever said that. Men don't say anything about how they're feeling. Now, what generally tends to happen is that if we start talking about that, it's met with negative responses. So, remember that men don't like to argue, particularly with women, because you know what? There's not that much information out there on this one, so I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. But I can give you guys a key here. Yeah, men don't like arguing with women. We don't, and it's the same thing with competition. We don't like competing with women. Why? Because it's a hollow victory. It's literally that thing of, well, you beat a girl, and but if we lose, you lost to a girl. It's a lose-lose situation. That's why we don't compete. That's why we don't like competing with women. It's the same thing. We don't like arguing with women. Why? Because women tend to get emotional. And once those flare up, it doesn't matter what your argument is. In most cases, the guy ends up taking the L. Why? Because it's not worth... Men know that there are times that it's better to take the loss and win the war. It's not worth blowing it up because, well, look, we getting off topic. Let's get back into it.
Maybe because we talk over them.
Like now?
Yeah. Yes.
Why
I mean,
else?
but that comes from just, I don't know. I guess, I don't know where it comes from.
Talk over them or instantly change the issue to make it to where that women are more important.
I guess that's just being a woman. Just always having something to say.
So, are we creating the environment to encourage men to be what we are penalizing them for not being?
Uh-oh.
So we're saying men should be more emotional, but just based on your admission, we don't create an environment for men to be emotional. So how can men do that thing?
Why don't men feel like they can be emotional? Like, if women don't know what is making you feel like that, how can we ever fix it? Like, y'all always say men have mental issues, men are going through things too. I'll validate that, yes. Men go through a lot of things and have a lot of pressures and things that they have to get done that women don't have to worry about. But if you...
We're going to go back because something tells me I missed something. I just need to check and see.
Or fix it. Like, y'all always say men have mental issues, men are...
So, are we creating the environment to encourage men to be what we are penalizing them for not being? So we're saying men should be more emotional, but just based on your admission, we don't create an environment for men to be emotional. So how can men do that thing?
Why don't men feel like...
Okay, so did she just talk over him before he finished his thought? Literally what they were just talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm open to that possibility. Maybe he finished his thought and she just had impeccable timing to literally, as soon as he finished the sentence, already start what she wanted to say. Maybe it's just me. I could be wrong though,
They can be emotional. Like, if women don't know what is making you feel like that, how can we ever fix it? Like, y'all always say men have mental issues, men are going through things too. I validate that, yes. Men go through a lot of things and have a lot of pressures and things that they have to get done that women don't have to worry about. But if you guys are not saying why you feel like that, then we won't know. I can't pull it out of you and make you feel like I know what's going on if I don't. Like, and same vice versa. Like, how can I expect you to understand how I feel if I'm not saying how I feel? I guess we need to make y'all more comfortable with us as much as we feel comfortable with y'all. Cause if I'm close with whoever I'm with, I mean, that comfort level, I mean, that makes it to where you can talk about anything. And
I agree with her 100%. Here's the problem though. She's saying it's comfortable enough. What did the guy say though? Because it's the guy that's wanting to talk about these things. But if he's not discussing it with you, then obviously it's not a safe environment. And even though you say it is, it's up to the guy. That's his decision to make, whether or not it is or it isn't. Something tells me that he didn't. Well, okay, let me stop because we ain't got there yet. So let's just play the video.
Vent about anything. So maybe it's just a comfort thing. And if you don't feel comfortable, maybe you shouldn't be dealing with that person.
She's still with that guy?
Do you remember a time in history where men were emotional? Can you think of one time?
Crickets?
No, because every time a man is emotional, we get past the emotional part and it's already escalated to like.
But yet and still, remember, if we go back to the beginning of the conversation, well, this is what men need to do. This is the type of man I would be, right? But you literally have never met a man like that in history. I mean, unless you've never been attracted to another guy in your whole life, this doesn't make any sense. I'm so lost right now. I'm lost. I don't know.
Like maybe a fight or an argument or something like that. So.
And that's my point. We don't need more emotional men because there's never been a time where emotions or being emotional has served men. Men were warriors. Men were builders of industry. Men were scientists. Men were farmers. There wasn't any time to be emotional. So again, I think the problem is women are asking for something that they don't fully understand. And they can't fully appreciate or empathize with where men are coming from.
Okay.
Men aren't like, we're not built like that. And the way that we show and we express emotion is through our thoughts primarily. But if we're having a conversation and the woman insists on talking over the guy, he's just gonna be like,
Well, I wouldn't say that I talk over a guy every time he's trying to.
She just did it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my. Oh no. You can't be serious. He's literally talking about women over talking a guy and she's over talking him. I don't, she can't know she does this. Cause I don't think she's doing it on purpose. I think it's, let's go.
Express how we feel.
Do you think you're aware? Do you think you're aware?
Not all the time. I'm not.
That's the point. And you don't know that one time that like did it for him, where he's like, she don't want to hear what I have to say.
Okay, so maybe just creating an comfortable environment for you guys?
How about just not being rude and let the person talk? Especially if you're in an interview and the host is talking to you. This is a problem I have, and man, I see this so much in the gender wars, particularly on specific shows. You know, again, I've done reviews on that channel, Fresh and Fit, notorious for that. People overtalk the host all day long. It makes for great content because you get an argument from it, right? But think about it like this, ladies, if you're watching this, right? You think about the daytime talk shows where women are the hosts. How often do you see men over there going on that show and then they just overtalk the host? It don't happen. Why? Because the producer is back there saying, during the commercial break, they say, hey, look, if you can't let so-and-so talk, we're just gonna move on to the next guest. Yeah, because over-talking people is rude, especially when you're in a situation where you have a host or somebody who's conducting an interview. It comes off as being, well, let's keep going because I'm trying not to go down a rabbit hole here.
Would help. But like I said, when it gets to that point, you guys will have already cheated, or we've already gotten a fight, or it's already escalated to a point. Like, I feel like y'all wait too late as well. Like, you don't say anything, or you don't relay that information in time because you were too, I don't know, scared, intimidated.
Shaming language.
That's the thing. I don't think women are clear on what they want from us. Because if you're too emotional, I don't feel safe. I can't deal with your emotions. Or sometimes you make his emotions about you. Babe, right now I feel insecure. I don't feel like I'm on my purpose, whatever the case may be. And the woman, whether she says it or not, it's like, am I not doing anything good enough? Is he thinking about another bitch, or whatever the case may be? So men, in order to not, because men are problem solvers.
Yes.
So why would I put myself in a situation to create a problem? Because we know how y'all work. We have to.
But when you say y'all, it's not every woman.
Most women.
But you can't you're making it seem like every single last relationship, a man can't say how they really feel. I mean, how do marriages last? Like, how do people stay together as long as they do? Like, obviously some men are.
Newsflash. Well, you know what? Wow, man. There's so much to unpack here, and okay, you know what? I'm gonna save it to the end. Let's keep going.
Maybe you need to interview married men to figure out why they feel comfortable with who they're with.
They don't.
Then why are they married? I would never be with someone. That's the thing too. You guys force yourself to be with people that you're not compatible with, or you feel these things and you just force it. Find someone that you can talk to, that you don't feel like.
It doesn't work like that.
Yes, it does work like that. I'm single. I'm not gonna.
If most women do that, then where does that leave a guy who wants to be married and have a family? Again, this woman has no clue of the male perspective. I'm starting to wonder, was she raised with her father in her life? Because these are things that, you know, you can pick up on when there's another male, when there's a man in the house.
Settle for someone that I can't talk to. Like, that's stupid.
The reason I say it doesn't work like that is if men are saying to you that most of the women I come across in my life, not even just from a romantic standpoint, most of the women I come across are not good listeners. If I still want to like be a husband, have a wife, I might compromise that. I might say, you know what? I might have to settle in that department.
Bingo.
Now, women can't compute because y'all feel like you don't have to settle for anything. But men settle a lot. There's a lot of married men that are miserable. And to that point, that's why was it
That's why y'all
54?
deal with so much. That's dumb.
54% of marriages end in divorce, 80% are initiated by the woman. I take it a step further in saying that even though 80% are initiated by the woman, sometimes the men are already checked out. Because again, women don't feel like there's anything wrong with them. And men feel like, well, she doesn't feel like there's anything wrong with her. She can't improve. So I'm going to just bite the bullet. I'm going to just deal with, because men try. They try to do right, quote unquote, by the woman. But a lot of y'all are like unshakable.
What about the ones that are not like that, that are shakeable?
They're few and far between.
Exceptions don't make the rule. If you're a guy, and like I said before, because he's 100% right. If you want to get married and have a family, there's going to be some things that you have to compromise on. And again, I'll save it for the end. Let's just keep going.
And the thing is, I wish that wasn't the case, but even in my experience, they're few and far between. Most women are terrible listeners, and I interview women all the time. Horrendous listeners.
Okay.
I could count on one hand how many were good listeners. And that says something, because these aren't women I've dealt with on some level. These aren't women that, you know, it's been a romantic situation. This is just people I've come across in life, at work, whatever the case.
Okay, we know where he's going with that. No need to finish it. Go ahead and check out We Need to Talk, because like I said, this brother is doing these one-on-one interviews, and I think that you know, he's starting to break these conversations down, one person at a time. Is that going to take forever? Yeah, but right now I think that it's necessary. So what are my thoughts on this? Well, again, you know, this woman is not much different from the other ones that we see on these on channels like this, where they literally have no clue to the male experience, and when you ask them about it, you get a lot of crickets. You know, what type of man would you be? Or I would be in touch with my emotions. Do you know a man who is like that? Have you ever met a man, or have you seen a man who was ever like that? Well, no. Then how do you know that's what you really? How do you know what type of man? That tells me that women are not interested in a man like that, because they're literally, you don't see them. Are they out there? More than likely they are. They're just not seen by women. They're not attractive. So, you know, more proof that a lot of times women don't know what they want. Now, this woman in particular, she was just all over the place with stuff. A lot of the times I got the impression that she was just saying stuff because it sounded good, or she wanted to make herself look good on camera. Whether or not she believes some of this stuff, she probably does, but it didn't translate well. I mean, because you saw what happened when Alan gave her some pushback on some things, and she had to sit there and think about it. It was like, oh, and then she'll double down on it, and it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you say that? But again, maybe it's just me. You know, sound off in the comments if you sharing the way that I felt while watching this. I was like, I was so confused. It's because she would say one thing, and then the host would probe deeper into it, and then she would totally contradict herself. Yeah. But that whole conversation about men settling, yeah. Guess what? If the majority of women out here are not willing to settle, then guess who is settling? The men. Yeah, 100%. You know, yeah. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that that women are not equipped to handle masculine problems, and the biggest reason is because they tend not to care. That's just what it is. That's not a positive or a negative. It just tells you that when you have issues, then you should be consorting with other men instead of women. Well, if you look, I'm not going to say that there aren't women out there who you can't share your issues with, particularly if you're married. Because if you're married, then you 100% need to be talking to your wife. I mean, lack of communication is a big reason for divorce, specifically in the U.S. So you definitely need to be doing that. The trick is that you got to marry a woman who is open to communication from, you know, the male perspective. A lot of women are not, sadly. Now, could that be changing? Possibly. I don't know, I've never talked to the host, but I think that could be possibly one of the goals of the channel like this, to where you're having these one-on-one conversations, because ultimately we got to start asking, like, where is this going, you know? But Yeah, guys, we're gonna leave it there. You know, the format here is these interviews are obviously broken up, so it's interesting to see what it's like versus the beginning of the interview versus the end. And then I don't know why I never addressed this before, but he's had repeat guests. So one of these days we're going to react to some of these women coming back on the channel after their interview, and they've gotten some feedback and they can see what people are saying. They can watch themselves on camera and say, "Oh man, well, I didn't really mean that." Because I've noticed he does that. He's done that before. Well, he'll give women a chance to come back and address the things that were being said in the interview, which is a novel concept. I'm highly appreciative of it because again, it leads to more high level conversations. Again, the goal here is that we need each other, so we got to create more married couples out there, specifically if we're talking about making improvements in our community. If you don't care about that, then you don't need to get married then. So hey, but I'm gonna leave it here and I'm gonna say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we're looking at crew season. Now, these brothers here, I got a lot of respect for them because number one, you get they have no problem holding both genders accountable. So you're gonna get that balance I'm talking about, which is so important to relationships. But again, you get a variety of men because again, we got 3 on the panel this time. So we've got one who's single, one married, and then one divorced. So let's go ahead and get this started. By the way, let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and put in insert a card here for the previous video that I did with them. Was just an introduction where you can go check out some of their YouTube shorts. I react to that. Go check that video out. But let's go ahead and get it started.
Shit, yeah, men gotta hold men accountable, women gotta hold women accountable, but I also don't.
There you go.
Don't see nothing wrong with holding the opposite side accountable too. It's like if we gonna get somewhere, the conversation needs to be had. Hey, this is what you're doing wrong, and they can do the same thing. This is what y'all are doing wrong, and then we take it in, go back to the drawing board, and fix this shit. I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with that, but yeah, men gotta step it up. A lot of men are lacking right now. Statistics show it, but at the same time, you also see a lot of men thriving too. So I understand that. I understand that a whole bunch, but I don't know. It's tough out here because you'll have the men that's trying to hold other men accountable, and then you this, you that, and try to and then the same side with women. With women, you will pick me if you try to hold them accountable. So we all.
Yeah, it's not going to be much for me of a reaction here because I actually agree with him 100%. If you're single, then other men should be holding you accountable. And same thing for women. Women should hold other single women accountable. If you're married, then you guys have to be accountable. Well, number one, you have to agree who's supposed to lead in that relationship. Most women want men to lead. Now, the only reason I put that as a caveat is because the marriage rates is what they are. I'm not going to discount anybody if you're comfortable with the woman leading the relationship. I got no problem. Y'all just have to, there are less models out there for that marriage to be successful. But if that's what you want and that's what you find, then hey, you go ahead and rock out and be successful at that. But the point is that men and women, you guys are supposed to be holding each other accountable. If you're the man and you're not leading, if the plan is not working out, then I would expect your wife to come up to you and say that, okay, well, babe, hey, this isn't working out quite like you said it was, so we may need to make an adjustment. That's what I would consider a wife holding a husband accountable. The other way around is a little bit easier because, again, the man's supposed to be in a leadership role. So
all got to get out of each other's way and just start listening. And everybody don't necessarily have to have a certain background or be an expert in something for you to listen to them. Conversations need to be had in general. But we don't really have too many people to just look up to, and we don't have enough influencers and just positive people in general. Like,
facts. That speaks to another point that I've raised on this channel several times about We need to improve the marriage in our community has an image problem, and it's mainly because not enough married people are speaking up. We need more married couples on YouTube, plain and simple, because that's a good way to set the example. And the funny thing is that if you talk to people in real life, almost everybody knows a couple who's been married and is being successful at it. But when we come to YouTube, it's not as much. So we just need to get more representation, more married people who are actually speaking up about stuff.
Why all of our people got to be, an athlete or entertainer or something like that? We don't put too much stock in just the everyday person or, a lawyer, a doctor, or things like that. Like, we don't raise our kids like that. A lot of times it's just sports. For the most part, you pushing in sports, but not as much on their education. It's like, yeah, make enough to pass to play, but it's not. You need to be making all A's. If you have a B, I'm taking away the phone or something like.
Right.
There are certain households where you can't have a B in their household, period. So it starts from the ground, and I think we do have some grounds to hold them accountable. But yeah, that's true too. We need to hold ourselves accountable just as much.
Kenny, upon first listen, you agree with what he had to say? If you had any grievances or issues with what he said, what were they?
If it's the team, why am I not the owner?
What?
You can't fire the owner, so I can do whatever the hell I want to do.
Bruh, come on, man.
That boy's a damn fool.
What?
Dog. I mean, it's valid, but he didn't say he's the owner. He said he's the quarterback.
Yes, but I'm no, yeah.
But I mean, when you do franchise quarterback, you damn near got as much.
Team, why we don't get rid of the owner? But anyway, shoot.
Do black men have grounds to hold black women accountable in this era in 2022?
I will say no. And the reason being is because you can't hold somebody accountable unless the only way you can hold a woman accountable is if she's under your protection and your leadership. And the way relationships work today, that's just not the case for most women. Most women are not going to submit to any man, and they shouldn't either, because it's a lot. Number one, it's a lot of bums out here, but number two, not every man is looking to get married. So you a single guy, I've said this before. If you're a woman and you're looking to get married, stop wasting time with dudes who don't want to get married. That's just, you're wasting your time. So I wouldn't expect those men to provide you any kind of real protection or leadership, because y'all have two different goals. So that's not gonna work.
I think in ways of telling her how to love us, yes. Or telling a woman, how to listen, that y'all aren't listening enough to us, men, or, loving us the right way, or things that go along with relationships and how to love a man. I think we have grounds to say that because we know how we want to be loved.
Right.
I don't think another man can, or another woman can tell another woman, hey, this is how these men need to be loved, because she's not a man. She's a goddamn woman. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think we have those grounds. But when it comes to education-wise and stuff, no, we can't hold them accountable. Or dress appearance or how we act out in public, because we all go out and do the same thing. We act crazy, wearing thousands of dollars in jewelry and shit like that, and can't pay no damn phone bill or ain't taking care of our kids. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
That's shit that we need to hold each other accountable with. Like your goddamn best friend ain't take care of his kids, but he out with you every day. Why you ain't telling him to go take care of his kids? Don't come hang out.
Facts. I told y'all, they hold both men and women accountable, and those are some big issues right there. We haven't gotten to the that's something we haven't discussed on this channel, and it's mostly because I don't believe in having kids outside of wedlock. Now, if that's you, it is what it is. You got kids out of wedlock right now. You need to make the best of the situation. But if you don't start now. You setting yourself up for a lifetime of struggle. And it's not me personally saying that. The numbers say that. The statistics say that. So
that stuff we can hold each other accountable for. Being a father, how to be a father. Hey man, this is stuff you need to do with as a man. These are accountable things me and you as men need to do. Don't tell a woman 100%. How to, be a good, raise her damn child while she's pregnant. Nah, that ain't our business. That's woman to woman stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I would agree. The only issues, well, I had a couple issues with what he said, but the first one being we need to hold each other accountable, and we need to hold each other accountable, and I think that's part of the issue that got us here. Women don't hold women accountable. And that's the grievance. We see it on these panels all the time, to where you will have a woman come on there and say something that everybody on the panel knows is wrong. Everybody. And women will say nothing. They will let it slide, or they'll make excuses for why she said it. But a man can come on that same panel and say the same thing, and they'll kill him for it for 45 minutes to an hour. You know what I'm saying? So when that's the climate, if they not holding each other accountable, like somebody has to hold, especially us being the leader of the household. Let's just establish another thing. This is the other grievance that I had with it. I think black men as a whole, he has a point, but there are a lot of black men in this society who have, stand up characteristics, integrity, family man, take care of their kids, do whatever the case may be. And even when these men speak, they refuse to be held accountable by these men who are widely known to be the type of man that they want, or the type of leader that they would sign up to.
You need to leave. Get out while you can. If you're with a woman who will not let you hold her accountable, and again, you're looking to be the head of the household, dude, just go find somebody else. Go find somebody else, because that's you saving yourself a world of hurt. Because that's going to be painful in the end. Don't do that.
To follow, and they don't listen anyway. You know what I'm saying? So if
Russell Wilson,
like a Russell Wilson, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, with that being the climate, it kind of jades what it is he's saying. Now, the part I do agree with in terms of black men need to set their shit up, I agree. But I think that stems from the previous generation failed us. Let's keep it honest here. Like, why do women have this mindset? And going back to what O said, starting in the household, where does that stem from? That stems from the generation before us, fathers not being in the home.
It does 100%, but this is also why I do why I'm putting together that money playlist for you guys, because a lot of the times women judge you based off the condition of your finances. So go check out that money playlist. It's important stuff in there, because again, that the whole thing is to set you up so that she can tell that you're the leader before you guys get into any kind of relationship.
For whatever the reason, you locked up in jail, drugs, all type of stuff. We can sit here and run down the list. And regardless of how much, the man or the government played in that aspect, we still willingly chose to engage. And now you done missed 20 years of your kid life. Now your daughter growing up without a father, looking at her mama be superwoman, work 3 jobs, this, that, and the third. So when she gets out in the real world, hell no, she ain't letting no man hold her accountable. Because she ain't never seen an example of that. She don't even respect men.
They hit the nail on the head. I'm telling y'all gotta go subscribe to Cruises and these brothers high level conversations.
Because of what her daddy did. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the generations before us fault. Now we suffering the cause of it. We trying to change things, because now, let's just be honest here, especially in the black community, 70% of black men are very, very active in their kid life, meaning giving them baths, meaning getting them dressed, meaning taking them to school, reading with them, going to PTA meetings, going to athletic events. 70% of black men are that active in their life. And I think it's 55% of white men or Spanish men or 45% Asian, like whatever the case may be, but black men are dominating in that regard in this era that we in. So change is coming. It's going to be rough because of, the hole that we're trying to climb out of, but change is coming. Black men in this era are trying. And if you see black men trying, if you see somebody that has solid characteristics, you should be willing to follow that. That type of man can hold you accountable.
And see, again, this goes back to what I was talking about before about representation and image. That's why it's very important that we get these We've got to start demystifying these stereotypes and breaking this stuff down. One way to do that is to get more married people to talk about the relationships. You know, I have a serious issue. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I have a point of contention with so-called dating coaches. Well, no, I can't say that because they're just dating coaches. They're designed to get you on dates. I would if I was a woman, I was looking to get married. I'm gonna be hard pressed to take advice from a dating coach, because ultimately, if they're talking about just dating, my goal was marriage. I'm gonna be talking to somebody who's married. That's just me though. Same thing with if you're out here trying to be, if you're a man and you want a family, then you should be hanging around with guys who are married. I mean, because they have what you want, then that's who you should be seeking advice from.
But you know, if you willing to bypass that type of man and go deal with somebody who ain't got shit going for themselves, you're right. He don't have no grounds to hold you accountable. He don't have no grounds to hold his damn self accountable because he's not doing it.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't, group us all. Black men are not a monolith, especially in this era. You know, it's dudes out here getting to it. You know what I'm saying? And being in their kids' lives, like very, very active, working full-time jobs while they doing it too. So, that's the only part that I kind of disagree with. But in terms of just black men in general, I'm gonna always say we gotta step up, we gotta improve, we gotta do better. As because we gotta close that gap, and we gotta change our image, and we gotta be a bit more like, self-reliant. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like how we move, not be so dependent on the job, not be so dependent on other people to get us to the level that we need to get to.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and leave this here, guys. Again, go ahead and check out Crew Season. Subscribe to their channel. These brothers make great content. But to summarize this, we talk about women don't want to be held accountable and all that's, it's a YouTube talking point, right? So my thing is that you shouldn't be trying to hold single women accountable. You want to be able to hold a woman accountable, then you need to put a ring on her finger. That's just my thoughts. Again, I'm pro-marriage, so that's how I'm always going to view it. Now, you should... Yeah, we're just going to leave it there. The other big point that came out of this, again, high-level conversation, was we need to improve our image. Now, I talk about that a lot on here, on this channel, because, again, we need more husbands who are actually making content. Because right now, the stereotype is that, well, black men just don't want to get married. We can't never get commitment from them. That's so untrue. But the reason why that's able to continue is because the men who are actually husbands, we don't speak up. We just go pick the one for us, and then we go off and be happy somewhere else, and then you don't hear from us again. Well, it's time to start changing that. If we want to improve the marriage rates in our community, if we want to rebuild our community, then we need more of us to speak up. Well, and I say us, I'm talking about average guys. Again, this is not the place for high value conversations. Other channels for that, that's not what this is about. This is about average men. Because believe it or not, personal opinion, average men are going to move the needle more for building our community than high value men ever will. And it's just because there's not enough of those guys. And there's always going to be a finite amount of them. You can talk self-improvement as far as getting your money on point and everything else like that, but there are only so many resources out here. That's just the reality. So where does that leave you? Well, again, lead with character. Character is always in your control, and you're always going to be able to, no one can take that from you. There's always going to be more, or your character can always get to the next level. It's always something for you to build on, always something for you to improve on. So I think this was a great video. Like I said, man, they didn't even last that long if you think about it, but these brothers are great at peeling back the layers, especially on men's issues. So go follow them. Guys, like and subscribe to this video too. All right. I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. But do me another favor. Like and subscribe. But also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos. One or the other. I don't know which side. But hey, all right. Money, Marriage, and Media. We're back again, right? And today we're looking at We Need to Talk. Now, this brother does some fantastic interviews, one-on-one situations where we actually start breaking stuff down through high-level conversation. And why is this important? Because the gender war is dumb, okay? So we got to move past that. In order to do that, we got to start demystifying the differences between men and women. That way we can get past it and move forward. So let's go ahead and get it going, and let's see what Brother Allen has for us. Oh, by the way, if you notice my shirt, this is a Father's Day present a while ago. It says Control C. My wife got this for me, and my daughter has a shirt that says Control V. So y'all go ahead and think about that one for a second. But let's go ahead and get it going, and we'll see where we're at.
From you, I used to love that. I used to get a high off that. I used to get a high off of, am I gonna see him today, or is he gonna be with 9 other bitches? Like, what is going to be that?
Listen, it's the message right here. Black boy, tell me how you really feel.
I'm not sure if that's copyrighted or not, so we're gonna just.
I want to.
Yeah, we're not gonna try and play that because I don't want no YouTube problems, right?
So a line.
Okay, still going here.
I think a lot of women complain about men, and they complain about men in a way as if they understand manhood better than us. Yeah. So the question is, if you woke up tomorrow and you were a dude, describe in as much detail as you can what kind of man you would be.
Wow.
Oh, this should be good. Yeah, I want to hear this.
I think I'd be the kind of man that I am as a woman, like, if that makes any sense. Like, the same level of compassion that I have.
Men and women are different, though. So, is she saying she'd be a feminine man? Because wouldn't that just be a gay man?
Same level of, like, the guardedness that I have, and the same level of, like, I don't know how to say it, just like the nonchalant part of me would probably take over more than anything. But I think that just watching other Black men's experiences, including, like, my father's and my brother's and my fiance's, like, it's changed the way I think I would have been as a man. But
she does have a wedding ring
I think I would try to be a little more vulnerable and just have more of a sense of awareness. Because I feel like a lot of men aren't, I don't want to say a lot of men, I don't want to generalize. I will say that some men that I have encountered don't necessarily have a sense of awareness. Or if they do, they just don't give a fuck. So, yeah.
So my follow-up question is, that version of a man that you would be, what would his relationship with women be like?
Probably open as possible at least. Because I feel like, again, with the men that I've encountered.
What does that mean? She'd be in an open relationship? Is that what she's trying to say?
A lot of the times I don't know if it's fear or if it's just like lack thereof communication skills, but it's a lot of hidden things, like a lot of hidden agendas, a lot of hidden problems that I feel like if you just brought to the table would be changed. So I feel like I would try to be as open as possible.
But what I'm asking, do you think that type of man would have success with women? Because, like, you're asking for openness.
Success in what way?
A lot of men don't feel like women genuinely want the openness you're describing from a man. They want a man to be a fortress of strength and stoicism, and that's why a lot of women go after bad.
Okay, so she's just saying openly communicating, which doesn't. That doesn't really answer the question. You could tell that she's never thought about things from the male perspective. Just how she answered that question, it was very vague, But that's typical, though.
Bad boys, thugs and things like that. So, what's interesting is sometimes when you hear women describe their ideal guy, it's not the guys that they're messing with. Yeah. So. What's the problem? What's the disconnect?
The disconnect is that you're right. Like, there's a lot of growing up, and even like how we were just talking about fairy tales and stuff like that. We're conditioned as women to feel like a man is supposed to come in and save us, and that they're supposed to be this strong.
Did she just say that women are immature? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it sounded like what she said is that women, for the most part, are immature. Let's back that up for a second, because that's. I want to make sure that I want to
Ideal
double check.
guy. Yeah. It's not the guys that they're messing with.
No.
So, what's the problem? What's the disconnect?
The disconnect is that you're right. Like, there's a lot of growing up, and even like how we were just talking about.
Yeah, she just said women need to grow up. Well, I'm not gonna argue because that's her opinion. So I don't know. Sound off in the comments if you agree with her. She said it, not me.
Fairy tales and stuff like that. We're conditioned as women to feel like a man is supposed to come in and save us, and that they're supposed to be this strong force that saves the day and is perfect. But on the other side of that, there are actual feelings and emotions. The disconnect is when you start showing me your actual emotions, it freaks me out personally. And having a man who speaks about those things and is vulnerable enough to show all of his emotions is scary. Because it's like, if you maybe feel like you aren't all the way solid, how are we supposed to be solid? Because you're, in turn, if we're talking biblically or whatever, supposed to lead and guide us. So if my
Is she contradicting herself? I mean, because in the beginning she was talking about what kind of man would she be? She was saying all this stuff about being open and everything else, but now she's saying that, well, no, you need to be stoic, because basically what she's saying is women are supposed to be the emotional ones. You're supposed to be the leader, and I can't deal with masculine problems. Now, on this side of the camera, we already knew that. But it's interesting to hear a woman actually say that out in the open, because most times they won't admit to that. Not in public, at least.
leader or my rib, or what, not my rib, whatever we want to call him, if he's not sturdy, then what are we supposed to do?
Okay, so why would you be that dude then? Why would you be the dude who you know is not going to be successful with women?
I'm glad he called her out on it.
Because there's always going to be somebody that wants him, regardless of the success level. You might not be successful with all women, but there's going to be some women that want you. And then also you have to think about your...
Yeah. So if you feel like being the the 1,000-to-1 odds, go ahead, right ahead and do that. No, what really happened is that this is the need to be right. She wants to prove herself right. And well, no, I wasn't technically wrong before, because there is somebody out there who's looking for that guy. Yeah. It's 22 million black women in the United States. And you're one guy, and you're finding that you want to find out of 22 million, that one woman who is going to be looking for you. Good luck with those odds.
Your goals as that man. So if I was that man trying to be open and blah, 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 my goal necessarily wouldn't be to get all the girls. Because I think that's like a thing, it's like a, what is it called? A shield of armor, not armor, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, there's a lot of pride in pulling a lot of chicks now, or having bitches. But like, if I was that man, I wouldn't be trying to do that, because I'm not trying to do that as this woman.
You know why men do that?
No, why?
Quality control.
Yeah.
When you improve yourself to a certain level, you then have the pick of the litter. You can then speak with bass in your voice and say, I'm not willing to tolerate this, I'm willing to tolerate that. So in order to do that, you first have to be as attractive as possible to as many women as possible.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny that you say that, because I know somebody who's fairly wealthy, and people just excuse all of his nonsense, and he has, like you said, whoever they could possibly want. And
so now she's flipping again. It's like, pick a side. I mean, seriously, it's like, it's one or the other. Either you go, okay.
And it's just like, there's not any feelings attached to it anymore. It's just like, I might like you, but I'm still have 19 other girls over here. So it's interesting that you say that.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you described a man you wouldn't be attracted to.
That's not true.
So would you be attracted?
How you know?
Would you be attracted to the male version of you?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Well, because
This is I'm starting to, man, we might be ending this one early, because it's like she keeps just talk herself into a corner, and then it's like, what are you talking about? That's not what you said 3 minutes ago. Yeah, we might be ending this one early. I'm not really. The high level conversations is almost like, I talked about this before, when you have when people are looking for the gotcha moment. Like, that's not even what's going on here. She just is talking in circles and keeps backing herself into a corner where she goes against what she just said. I mean, it's yeah. Maybe this will pick up. Maybe it'll pick up.
now, say this was, 7 years ago, then hell no. But now, as a woman, there's a level of self-assurance that I need, that and openness that I need in a relationship to function. Now, do I always like it? No, but I need that now. And so I think I would be attracted to that person because he's me in terms of the fact of, like, I've grown to try to appreciate that openness and try to appreciate somebody who's a little bit more blunt with me, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
The question that comes to me, like, immediately is like, why did it take you 7 years to get that?
It's chasing the bad boy thing. I was chasing I've romanticized my entire life. If it were up to me, I would have been married 7 years ago. Like, that's just how I've been. So when it comes,
why do I feel like I'm getting a headache? Because she just said that wouldn't have been the guy I was looking for years ago. But it's who I want now because I've matured. But clearly, now we're going back on it again. It's like this. I am so confused. I need some headache, man. I need ibuprofen or something, because it has to get better. Come on, Alec, you got to put this together, man. This is
to that specific part of the question, I just wasn't there. One, I was trying to seek validation from every guy that I saw. And two, I was dealing with self-esteem issues. Like, of course, if you tell me that I'm pretty today, then I'm taking that shit to the head and I'm running with it as long as I can. So that's why. Because there was a lot of other underlying issues there.
And I think it's important that men empathize with that.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason they don't is, unfortunately, some women don't like to hear this, but somebody said women age like milk and men age like wine.
Yeah.
And meaning that, society values women based on their fertility and their youth.
Yes.
And in your peak, you don't prioritize the right things, but when you're on the way out the door, then you want those dudes who've made something out of themselves, who you shitted on, to now want you.
Exactly.
And they're looking like, bitch, you don't get the fuck out. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
So like, what do you have to say to those men who are like, man, why these Facebook girls coming back in my DMs after they didn't have 5 kids by Pookie and Ray Ray?
What do I have to say to the men?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And the women, you could talk to both of them.
Well, personally, I'm that girl. Like, I kind of waited until I got my shit out, and then I went to the one that is like that. So what I have to say to the men is,
at least you admitted
know
it.
your worth, because you know that, like you said, back then you didn't want me, now I'm hot. They all want me, or all over me, or whatever he said. Know your worth, because again, that woman is looking for what she couldn't find in that bad boy or that inconsistent man. And for the women, like, wake up. Like, you have to wake up. Like, I had to wake myself up and be like, look, bitch, this is what you need, you know? And this is also what you can make into an actual partnership. It's not just like status or because he's cute or because he's this or he's that. Like, there's actual stability here. And I think that's what we're all craving, honestly. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of the dialogue that I have with men is like, women crave stability after 30.
Yeah. See, that's not true. I don't believe you.
So, okay, so segue that into what is so attractive about...
You know, it's interesting because if we lump this in back with what she said before about women needing to mature, I actually agree with that. I think I'm starting to believe that. Well, I shouldn't say I agree with it, but I'm starting to see the point of what somebody else, wise man, once said, is that women don't actually start to mature mentally until they're past their sexual prime and their options start to dwindle. Because then it's like, oh, okay, well, hold on. You know, my beauty is starting to fade. I need to get it together because I can't just rely on my looks. I can't get by on that anymore. So I need to develop some kind of personality. You know, she kind of just confirmed that. So, I mean, it's interesting. I wonder if we'll ever get to the point where women will acknowledge that. And you know, because at some point, imagine what would happen if you had older women who were teaching this to younger women. I think that would, that would lead, that in itself is high level conversation. But if we could have that on the regular, I think that we'd have number one, more marriages. Number two, those marriages, I think the divorce rate would go down. Number three, we'd probably get married younger. Just some random thoughts, but let's keep it going. I don't want to get off topic.
About the bad boy, and then tell me, what can the good boys learn from that?
The bad boy, there's, as much as we like to talk about men liking the chase, women love the chase. I mean, and me specifically.
Also, if guys love the chase, that's just a myth. If they could avoid the chase altogether, we would do that 100%. But it's part of the game because we do it because women like it. That's the only reason.
I love the fact of, like, you might be interested one day and then the next day I don't hear from you. I used to love that. I used to get a high off that. I used to get a high off of, you know, am I going to see him today or is he going to be with 9 other bitches? Like, what is going to be that?
Uncomfortable truth is what she's talking about. The fact that guys keep her on her toes, and because she doesn't know, she actually likes it. Yeah, that is that works up until a certain age. And for the sake of this conversation, it's almost like, from a woman's perspective, that's an immature way to look at things. For today's conversation, I actually agree with that, because again, if you're looking to get married, stop wasting time with guys who don't want to get married. You're wasting your time. And you don't, I mean, and like I said, like we already know, beauty runs out, and if you need to be replacing it with virtuous behavior, but that's not gonna develop overnight. It's something you have to work at. So the quicker you get started with that, the better. And let me go ahead and put this phone on silent because we don't want to hear it going off anymore, right? Right. And my bad for not doing that sooner. But anyway, let's get back into the video because, like I said, I don't want to get off topic. So.
I think that what a good boy can get from a bad boy is just not always being available. Because if we're really thinking about it, when we think about the definition of a good guy, you often hear that he's being ran over or he's being taken advantage of. But at what point do you make boundaries and set boundaries? I feel like the bad boy has his boundaries. Or he's just so busy fucking up shit over here, he has to have, unspoken boundaries.
You know what? And that's a misconception on her part, because the reality is that men of character, you're not going to be able to run over a man with good character, because at a certain point he's going to say, okay, hold on, no, we're not going to do that, and no, this goes against what I believe, so we're going to leave this here. And in some cases, he might just walk away from you altogether. You got to be careful when you play those kind of games, especially with men of character, because we don't like to play games like that. We're just going to just say, okay, enough of this. I'll just go find somebody else. It's not worth the headache. And yes, I've had to do that before. But that's part of being a man. That's part of self-development too. And you have to develop your self-value high enough to say that, wait a minute, this is more than what I'm comfortable with, as far as that I think is worth dealing with this woman. And at that point, you got to do an analysis of, you're going to weigh the pros and cons. If it's worth it, okay, you stick it out a little bit longer. If it's not, I'm going to just move on and find somebody else.
You know?
That's facts. That's facts.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see the ring on your finger.
Yeah.
So,
congrats to her.
The question, and men talk about this sometimes, but it seems like too many women are in a rush to get married.
Yeah.
Some of those women are not actual wives. They're not wifey material. But we've created.
I would actually say the opposite is true. Not enough women are looking to get married. I think the majority of women, personal opinion, I think the majority of women are scared of actual marriage. Yeah, they want to ring because it's a flex to their friends. But ultimately, I think most women today are scared of being wives. Because how many times have you heard, well, let's try this from a different angle. Being a wife comes with standards that you need to adhere to. And so many times we hear about women, when you ask them about their ex, and he was toxic, he was controlling. Well, I think there's a direct correlation between women wanting to be wives and fear of giving up control over certain aspects of their life. Because let's be realistic, you're not going to get into a marriage with a man and want him to be the head of the house, but then you don't give up control. It doesn't work like that. If you're going to yield to someone as the head of the home, then that means that they're going to have some power over you. And a lot of times women, I think that fear sets in and they don't want to do that. So personal opinion, I don't think a lot of women are looking forward to being wives. I think a lot of them view marriage as a status thing and it's a flex. So, like I said, it's personal opinion.
This image of you know what I'm saying? So why is that? What's going on? Why are so many girls in such a rush to get married and not really thinking it through?
It's like it's your moment to sigh and release. It's like, I know it's not true because I know married men cheat all the time. I've seen it time and time again, been approached by it, whatever. But I feel like for women now, and maybe even back then, it's a token of like, he finally chose me. He didn't choose anybody else. He chose me. And there's nothing else that I have to worry about, which I know in reality is not true, but it feels like that. It feels like I've finally been chasing after all these dudes, and finally somebody is like, this is who I want to spend my life with.
Do you think enough of us actually think about what happens after happily ever after?
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. If I'm being honest with
Disney
you,
fairy tale.
so much has happened since I even put this ring on my finger, and it's been less than a month. And it's like, nobody thinks about
Hold on, let's
that. You plan this big, grandiose wedding, or maybe you don't. Maybe you just go sign papers, and then you're married. And now you have this person that you're legally bound to, and a lot of people don't know what to do with that because.
Yes, and I agree with her 100%. And we're actually going to I think there's a correlation between, the Disney fairy tale of getting married and living happily ever after and the divorce rate. Because I think that we're doing a bad job of preparing our daughters for marriage. Sons too, but not to the same extent as the daughters, because I think that a lot of the times this is why women file for divorce so much more than men do, is because we stop it at the Disney fairy tale. We stop it at they live happily ever after, and we're not actually preparing our daughters for what the life is going to be like once they get married. Now, part of the reason is because, again, personal opinion. It's just a theory that I have, is because as fathers, we look at the marriage rates and say, okay, well, my daughter has a 70% chance of not getting married. I better prepare her to be strong and independent, because the chances are she's not going to be there by herself. Or she is going to be there by herself. And I got to make sure that she's strong enough, she's ambitious enough to go out there and make enough money to make it to the end of life. Instead of, teaching her how to work in cooperation with the man. Coincidentally, you have a better chance in the marriage as opposed to not being single for life, because we already know the average income for African American women is right at it's just below $40,000 a year. Well, that's not enough to make it to the end of life, and to include retirement. You're gonna be working to the day you die, and you're not gonna live this lavish lifestyle. It's just not. It's not gonna happen. So we've got to have a shift in what we're teaching our daughters. Just my thoughts. Keep going.
Because they want their freedom, or they don't like to answer to certain things. Because I know this is speaking for myself. But no, people don't think about that, and they don't think about the fact of, if this is really going to be for the rest of our lives, what that entails. So, no.
So what do you think that leads to?
That's what leads to the side chicks, the side baby mamas, side men.
Notice how she instantly went to side chicks, as in it's the man's fault, right? But women and men cheat at similar rates, and usually it's the women who cheat more, just because the cheating stats are based on percentages. But remember, there are more women in this country than men. So, well, no, that would say that the cheating is about the same. But it still goes to my point, the fact that she mentioned the man cheating first instead of the woman, which is, a big misconception out there. We got to start having these conversations, because again, the whole point is to demystify these stereotypes that are out there that are plaguing our community. So no, the majority of the time, the number one reason for divorce is lack of commitment. Now, could there be some correlation between lack of commitment and what people's expectations are of the marriage? I think so. I think there's probably a big correlation there. We're probably going to end up at some point. We're going to have if I can't find a clip of somebody having that conversation, then I promise you and I can share in that conversation together. Because again, if the number one reason for divorce is lack of commitment, then we need to take a deep dive into where that's coming from, and why is it that we have this expectation that, because we're married now, well, we can read each other's thoughts. Nothing could be further from the truth. When you say it out loud, it just sounds ridiculous, but that's what it is. So let's keep going.
Dudes, these weird relationships. I mean, I personally believe, like, if you choose to be polygamous later in your relationship, or if you choose to have an open relationship, it's an agreement. But I think that people get married and they're so afraid to change their agreement that they create all this chaos. Think about our grandparents. Think about how many of our grandpas or even grandmas had these other families that you didn't know about until you laid grandpa to rest. There's so much behind it because people don't want to communicate about it.
Okay, so let's talk about
it. If her husband or fiance, I'm not sure which one it is, but if he said, yeah, I want to have I want to start another family on the other side of town, you really think she's going to agree to that? Oh, okay, babe. Well, yeah, no problem. Right.
About that. Like, why? So somebody said all marriages end. Most marriages fail. So all marriages end in either death or divorce. Most marriages fail because statistically 53% end in divorce. But there's even a greater percentage that end, but we stay together for the kids, or we stay together for the image, or we stay together, but they're miserable and they don't love each other no more. They live in different houses, different.
It doesn't matter. Marriage is about duty and respect. It's not about love. Love is a byproduct that comes later. But especially with men, because the whole point is the main reason why men get married is children. Very rarely do you find a man who wants to get married but doesn't want to have kids. That's usually about something else, and that's a topic for another video.
Different rooms. Yeah. So why is that? Why do most marriages, at least in the West, and specifically with Black people, fail?
Again, we talked about this already. It's because we're not raising our kids to understand the work that goes into to keeping a marriage going. And the reality is that if we don't start doing that, then the divorce rate's going to stay where it is, and so are the marriage rates. We just got to do a better job with raising our kids to work in cooperation. Our women, we need to learn. We need to be teaching them that you need to trust in the man who's going to be your husband. And our men, we need to start giving them better instructions on how to be the head of the household, and how to plan out the future for a family.
It's because of the communication. I really believe it's because of the communication. It's because you get so caught up in trying to chase this American dream, especially Black people. We get so caught up in trying to catch up to what, our counterparts already have. So we're trying to catch up to something, and then you're not communicating, and you're putting all these extra things on your back. There's so much weight just being this color. Like, there's so much weight behind it. And then you bring in a partner, and then you bring in babies, and then you bring in bills and houses and blah, 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 blah. But I think that's why, because you get so overwhelmed trying to meet the Joneses or whatever they're called, that you forget what it's all about. Because that's literally what most of them end in. We argued about money, we argued about baby, or we just couldn't make it work.
I think just to take it a step further, it's communication, but more than communication, it's comprehension.
Yes.
You want to speak to that?
Yes. Literally, that's my life. Comprehending has been such a challenge because, we all think we're so smart because we can open our mouths and say how we feel. But can you comprehend what that person is telling you? And then to go like a step further, like you're saying, can you then act on what they need you to do? Because you can tell me that you don't like anything that I do. I say that I understand, and then I continue to do it, and then that continues to make the wound deeper. So yeah, I agree, because we always want to have these big conversations, and then there's no action behind it.
So one of the things that I see men talk about a lot, and I hope you can shed some light on it. They say that Black men say that Black women are unwilling to receive any kind of critique. You can't tell y'all shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this should be interesting. Is she going to give like a surface level answer that's going to just brush it off, or is she actually going to address the elephant in the room? Because a lot of times, we talked about this before, about women holding women accountable, behind closed doors, not in public. Well, now you're on camera, thousands of people gonna see this. What's she gonna say?
It don't matter if it's my girlfriend, my sneaky link, or my wife. You can't tell her shit. So is that true? Why is it true? And is it a problem?
Okay, is that true? No. Why would it be true? Because I feel like, again, we're battling so much just as Black and brown people in general, but specifically the Black woman, because she's trying to catch up to everybody.
Another woman who has no idea what the male experience is like. she basically just said, "Oh no, man, the way you think is wrong, because no, that doesn't actually happen, even though the vast majority of men keep saying it happens." Oh, okay, well, we must all be wrong then, right?
That it feels like when you have a partner, sneaky link, whoever that may be, I just want you to be my peace. And sometimes that means shut the fuck up, because I just want you to be my peace and not tell me what I'm doing wrong. And a lot of that aggression comes from that. It comes from the fact that I have the weight of the world here, and I need you to be the one who isn't giving me the bullshit that happens outside of this door.
Isn't that what men usually say they want from a potential spouse? So, I'm gonna leave that alone, and we're gonna keep moving.
Because that's what I deal with. I go home and I don't want to talk about this. I don't want you to tell me that I'm wrong. I just want us to coexist, which I know isn't healthy, but you know, we're working on it. But what was the last part of that? Why is it
What's
true?
the solution? Yeah.
What's the
Or if
solution?
it's a problem, what's the solution?
Well, the first thing she said was, "No, it's not. It's not like that." So, again, she seems to flip flop on a lot of stuff. Okay.
I had a conversation with a young lady the other day. She's probably like in her early 20s, and they have the same circumstances, except she's really young. And I'm like, the only thing I feel like can help at this point, and because I believe in therapy, is maybe a non-biased third party, because a lot of the times, by the time we get there, nobody's listening. And you damn sure aren't comprehending if you aren't listening, because you're trying to get out everything and be right. So I personally think a good solution.
Does that sound like what she's doing right now? A few minutes ago, she said it's not an issue, that doesn't happen, that, you know, men aren't experiencing the fact that they can't tell black women anything. But now it's, well, we got to the point where we're not listening, so we need a third party to come in and say this. But if you're in the confines of a marriage and you reckon and you want that man to be head of the household, if he's telling you the way he sees things, you can't just brush that aside and say, no, it's not like that. You agreed that he would be head of the household when you accepted his marriage proposal, and you said, "I do" during the ceremony. You agreeing to follow his leadership. If he's telling you something, you might want to pay attention to it. Now, if you agree that if your relationship is one that you know is a woman, you're head of the household, then no issue there. Just brush it aside. Tell the guy he's wrong and keep moving forward, because you know you're in a position of power there. But most women don't want that, and most men are not going to agree to that either. So, you know,
Solution is to have a third party there, because if I can break down what you're saying and break down what she's saying, then hopefully you guys can come back together and figure it out.
So I'm gonna say something to you, and I want you to react to it.
Okay.
I think a big part of the reason is that an uncomfortable number of our women are masculine. And what happens in the household is you end up having two gorillas in the household, and neither party wants to yield.
No.
So what do we do with that?
That's a hard one, because even when you said the word masculine, the first word that came to my mind was submit. Because I'm told, if I'm reading the Bible or not even reading the Bible, listening to some of these people out here, that I'm supposed to submit to you. But you're not giving me nothing to submit to.
Then why are you with them?
Uh-oh.
I don't know what you're with them.
Uh-oh.
Personally, I don't have that problem. But
Bingo. High level conversation, right? Because he hit the nail on the head. If you don't feel like that you can submit to your husband, why are you, well, he can't lead. Well, why'd you pick him then? What made you pick a guy who can't lead? Because that makes it sound like self-destructive behavior. So is it that you go into the relationship thinking that, okay, well, this ain't gonna work. I'm halfway in. I'm gonna leave one foot out the door through, various other examples. We see this stuff all the time, right? I've got a secret account that he doesn't know about. His money is for the family. My money is for me. So I'm going to save all my money just in case things go wrong. If that's you, don't get married. Just don't. It's not going to work. And what I would tell you is you'd be better off working out. You need to sit there. Okay, so put that financial coach hat back on. What you need, if that's you, what you need to do is sit down with a licensed professional, a financial professional, and just start figuring out how much money you need to save, how much money you need to set aside per month, and you go ahead and do that and take care of yourself. Because when you enter into a marriage, you're supposed to be trusting of the man, especially if you want that man to lead. If you and him are agreeing that he's going to lead, then you need to have faith that he knows what he's doing. If he doesn't, that doesn't mean that, now from the guy's perspective, it doesn't mean that you just have no say so. The guy should be taking counsel from you, and you big issues, you guys should be sitting down and talking them out. But once you have said your piece, it's up to him to make the decision, and you have to be okay with that. Otherwise, if you think that he has he's made questionable decisions in the past, then why'd you marry him? I mean, that goes back to that question: who helped you vet him? What male family member helped you vet that man for a potential husband? Crickets. Okay, let's keep going.
But I feel like you're with them because, again, we thrive and we want so badly through social media, through normal life, through all of the mental health things going on, a companion. And so sometimes that means you just deal with the shit that you have versus going to find better. And I'm a gorilla because if you're not leading me right, but maybe you're doing something else, right? Like maybe you're fucking me, right? Then I might stay, because if I'm being honest, that's like 60% of the relationship sometimes,
But don't you think there's some cognitive dissonance there? Because you're saying, I won't submit to you because you do everything wrong, but you do this one thing right. Yeah. But this one thing he does right involves submission. Because when you're having sex with somebody, you're submitting to them physically.
Yeah.
So why the nitpicking and picking and choosing?
High level conversation.
Well, because I'm a gorilla, right? If we're using your analogy, I'm a gorilla. So that means that my animalistic instincts aren't always rational, because that's what happens. If you really sit down and you really talk to a lot of people that are in relationships, a lot of this shit is not rational. We're just here.
No, in other words, what she means is that it's selfish behavior. He makes me feel good, so I'm gonna stick with him, even though there's no future here. That's what's really going on there. That's what I don't think she's going to admit that. But that's what that says. It's like, okay, well, he can sex me down real good, and he makes me feel a certain way, so I'm gonna stick with him because of me. When family is supposed to be about, as you moving as a unit. Now, I think we're gonna end this one here. Well, let's keep going because I want to hear her thoughts on this. So,
and just doing it. So, it might seem like, or it might actually be submitting, but it doesn't feel like submitting because I can still be that gorilla when we're being intimate as well.
So, a lot of men are going to say that means that women don't really love men. They just love the utility of men.
Yeah.
It's just easier.
Okay, we're gonna end it here, and I'm going to summarize here a couple of things because it did get a lot better. Shout out to Alan for asking some great questions, but we did learn a couple of things here, or we at least confirmed a couple of things, but mainly that. I don't think she threw out a stat there. I don't believe it. About 60% of the time, women are in relationships. Do people wear in relationships just because of sex? I don't believe that. what I will speak to is the fact that we did learn that I do think there are a lot of relationships like that, but again, that goes back to just selfish behavior. If all the guy can offer you is good dick, like there's so much more to life than that. Move on. And you know what? We can tie this into what she said earlier in the fact that, you know, women mature and get past that and they start looking for other things that are more important. You know, so obviously we need to do a better job of raising our daughters to mature, the mentality mature sooner than later. That way they start picking men of character versus, you know, the so-called bad boys. All right. So what else did we discover? Well, she talked a little bit about legacy. Now, we're going to do another video about that because it's going to be on the money side, but it's really going to be about, you know, how long does it take to build a legacy, or better yet, keeping up with the Joneses? Because she did mention that in this video, but you know, we want to get married and we're jumping into two things too soon and stuff is starting to pile up because we're trying to portray a lifestyle that we see on social media, when the reality is that if you want to secure your legacy, the first thing you need to do is get stable. And a lot of times we skip over that stuff. This is why you see so many families today are in debt, because they want to take the big risk because we're addicted to, we're starting to believe that myth about, well, in order to win big, you got to bet big. Well, betting big means that the majority of the time you're going to lose. So no, slow and steady is how you build net worth. It doesn't happen overnight. So avoid those, you know, I would say think twice about somebody who's giving you financial advice that involves you taking out huge chunks of debt, because remember, we had that net worth conversation. The question I always ask is that if you knew that every time you take out a loan, you know you lower your net worth, how much money would you want to borrow? Keep asking that question. I ask that question on Facebook all the time. Nobody ever wants to answer it. Why? Because you realize, because once we start talking about net worth and then debt starts looking really dumb. It's like, why would I want to lower my net worth? But that's what happens when you borrow money. So we are slow and steady on that. You got to be stable first. Focus on doing that. Then once you're stable, it may be that a lot of the times your sole purpose is to set up the next generation to be rich. That's how you create a stable legacy. Is that a lot of times, again, we'll mess it up because we try and build everything in one generation. No, that's not how you do it. You got to build things one generation at a time. That's how so many other successful, wealthy families, you know, that's how they're able to maintain and pass down their wealth. It's not because one person got rich and then the rest of every child after that comes after that is rich too. No, they built it up. They stair-stepped it. But look, now I'm giving y'all too much game for this video because this video was supposed to be about relationships. We're getting too much into the money topic here, right? Say that for another day. But this is good. This is a great conversation. Guys, go check out We Need to Talk. Host Alan asks great questions, but also the format is designed to relegate high-level conversations. That one-on-one format is designed to be, you know, even from the way he sets the stage. Because look, you got that all-white background, and that brown chair is meant to calm things down so you can actually have a focused conversation. Great stuff here, but I'm gonna say it goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Money, Marriage, and Media, and today we're back with the ladies of Lapeef JR. Now today they are reacting to a video. They're reacting to a reaction video of a woman who is talking about what she brings to the table. I cut out the part about the reaction because at a certain point it just gets too meta. It's like you're watching the reaction of a reaction. We don't need all that. Besides, you guys have seen plenty of stuff, plenty of videos. There's plenty of stuff out there on YouTube about, you know, what I bring to the table as far as women. All right. Most importantly, I want to focus on what the ladies think, because again, this is an environment where there are no men here. So from what I've been told, women tend to hold each other accountable when it's just women around. When there are no men there, that's when women hold each other accountable. So that's what we're looking for. And it wouldn't bother me if they held men accountable either, because like I said, sometimes that happens. Like I said, this is just a show with ladies involved and there are ladies present. The only thing that, well, there is a point where you can go too far as far as them holding men accountable, because if there's no representation there, then that just gets that seems to be kind of overkill. So we're gonna go ahead and get it started, and let's get the ladies' opinion on what the original video was about as far as what a woman brings to the table.
What are your thoughts? It's a lot to unpack there.
Very much so.
So what are you guys' thoughts on that video? It was so much that he said. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think so. Shane Monet, I think, like you said, he had a lot to say, and so there's a lot to unpack. I think the only point that he made that I agreed with was that men don't care about a woman's level of education. Unless they're the type of man, or their income, right? Unless they're the type of man who's interested in a 50-50 partnership, it typically isn't of interest.
Even then, it's usually not that much of an interest, because a guy is for the most part, guys are willing to work with you as long as you have, as long as you can support yourself. Now, more average dudes are going to look for, an equal contribution as far as, what they call 50-50. I don't necessarily call that 50-50. To me, a 50-50 relationship is about effort. Like, the money is, the money's the money. But at the end of the day, everything's not about money. Like, it takes more than money to make a relationship work. There are things inside of the dynamics of a relationship that you don't get paid for, but they still need to get done. So, but yeah, let's just keep going, because yeah.
To most men. However, I think the idea that women are the table comes from the strong, independent woman. It seems to be super disingenuous. Like, we're going to pretend like wars weren't waged over women, that, the trophy wife trope hasn't been a huge marker to male success. The value of what a woman represents is not super important to society. Like, it just seems disingenuous to end on that note, right? That this is an independent woman thing, and that, women are like essentially partners to show up at the table with.
I'm completely lost in what she's talking about. She mentioned about independent women being disingenuous, but then immediately starts talking about men fighting wars. Okay.
As opposed to what womanhood represents in society.
I was gonna say again that was a whole a lot to unpack. But one of the things that I'm noticing a pattern of is this huge pushback against I'm gonna just say Black women, because that's typically what we're talking about, from Black men in regards to this, I don't know what it is, this desire to just want to put Black women in their place. Like, and that's kind of what I hear is, on the women's side, this pushback to show how great we are, like in terms of how to prove ourselves, how we show up, like, oh, we're not what you think, we're the most educated, we're making a lot of money, we're doing all of these things. So it's that pushback to kind of prove I'm worthy, I'm good enough. And then I think on the men's end, that their pushback is with the, no, you're not as great as you think you are.
She's talking about the gender war. The gender war is dumb. Yeah, because you can't build a community off the gender war. It's designed. Its whole premise is we need to separate. Got to move forward. Got to move forward.
You know what I mean? And so that's kind of like the dialogue that I kind of see from that video, is that from the woman's perspective, the need to prove herself, like, you know, from hearing a lot of the rhetoric about how Black women ain't ish, you know what I mean?
Where is this rhetoric coming from? Because it's literally what she's talking. What she just said is that the women are saying that I am good enough. I am here. You need to see me. And the men are saying, you're not as great as you pretend to be. You need to humble yourself. So what we have here is, because again, it's a gender war. So what you really have here is a chicken and egg scenario, right? The men are saying, yeah, we already see you. You don't need to keep bragging about stuff. That gets old. But the women are saying, well, no, you don't see me. That's why I have to say all these things. Stop trying to tear me down. It's chicken and egg. Honestly, if we, like I said, if we can't move past this stuff, divorce rates are going to continue to plummet. And men and women are not, our kids are the ones that suffer, plain and simple.
To say, you know, these are the things that I accomplished, these are the things that I bring to the table. But then from the male perspective of saying, yes, you bring in all of these things to the table, which means nothing to me. And so yeah. I don't know how to kind of process that in the sense of it means nothing to me in relation to all of the things that you've accomplished, which are great, means absolutely nothing, which to me is kind of like, oh, wow.
Okay, so here's what it is. The piece that she's missing is the fact that most women they prefer their man to be the breadwinner, head of the household, right? And the breadwinner at the same time, because those things are not mutually exclusive. But here's the caveat. Men don't have a problem with that. But the problem comes in is that, okay, well, you listed all these accomplishments, but you still want me to be the breadwinner. Okay, well, how do those things help me be the breadwinner? How does your career help me be the breadwinner? How do your degrees help me be the breadwinner? The answer is they don't. That's why men don't care about that stuff, because ultimately it doesn't benefit us. I mean, if we're married, that's a discussion for later, because if if your career is built during the marriage, then yeah, guys don't care about that. But if we're just dating, I don't have access to your money because you're expecting me to pay for most of the dates. So how does your career help me do that? It doesn't. That's why men don't care.
Or the other aspect of it as, this means nothing to me because I'm looking for something else outside of what it is you're providing. So I don't know, but it's a lot that I can unpack what he said, but I'm gonna let somebody else go.
You put all your eggs in one basket, and then you find out.
Oh, sorry.
It's a lot. They record a live show, so you do it live. That stuff like that happens. Not a big deal though.
Me too.
I hit something on my phone and then it started going off. My hand swiped it, because I talk with my hands.
But whatever you said, don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially when they out here talking like that. But I'll say this. First and foremost, Black women be the most desired or undesirable. Like, you just go where you celebrate it, period. Like, somebody wants
I agree 100%.
Somebody somewhere. And if that's the attitude that he has towards you, then you just go where the attitude is not, right?
But there is a caveat there. The majority of Black women are being desired by Black men. So, I mean, I guess she's trying to break it down as don't go with that guy. But that guy, I think, has a YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken, at least a TikTok or something, because it looked like he was in the format, probably a TikTok, just from the format of how the video was set up. Like I said, again, go check out the original on the Peef JR. You guys see what I'm talking about.
So leave him where he is. But aside from that, a lot of men nowadays are saying, like, we don't care if a woman's educated or what she brings to the table. But on the flip side, they'll be like, they don't want to pay all the bills either. So it does matter, right, to some. And then also there's so much.
It matters if you're sustainable, if you're an adult, You need to have a job to be able to sustain yourself. Because again, average guy, I'm not trying to pay your bills. Man, if we ain't married, I'm definitely not doing that. So that's what that comes from. You need to have a job or a career. We don't necessarily care. We don't put too much interest in it as long as you're not using your sexuality to get paid. Outside of that, not really. We don't. It's not because again, there's no benefit to us.
That he said. Also, if a woman does not have something, then she's gonna be looked at as a bum, or y'all not going to pick women up off the street and put her in position to work for a business that a lot of guys don't have who have the mentality. So this is, go where you celebrate. I don't even really have a thought on that because I don't think much about people who don't think highly of me or us. So.
Well, the other thing too that I don't like is this narrative that's being put. I think men look at when women are saying these are the things that I do as a situation of engagement, like to fight. You know what I'm saying? Which
Gender
I
war.
think that to some degree, don't get me wrong, I do think some women weaponize, their education and how much money they make. I've definitely have come across that situation, like feeling like, oh, because I make this and you can't tell me, not, that kind of stuff. So I have come across that.
Does that count as? Would you consider that being as entitled? I don't know. That sound off in the comments if you think that sounds like the woman is entitled. But well, yeah, because that's a good question there. Because if it's something that the guys in general don't care about, then why do you keep bringing it up? Unless, of course, you just don't know that we don't care about it. But yeah.
But like, I don't like a lot of times the narrative that's being pushed or these stats that are being thrown out without people necessarily doing like the research. So the part that he was saying, he was correct in saying the fact that Black women are not earning, the highest earners. We're not. So he was definitely correct in that. But in terms of him saying that the doctoral level degree is the metric that is being used in terms of education, and women, Black women may have the least amount. But if we want to extrapolate that data, they are pursuing higher degrees more so than men. Period.
Yes, yeah,
Black
that's
men,
true.
when we're pulling out Black stats, like in general, overall, just across the board, women are obtaining.
There's a problem with that though, and I'll address it. Well, we're almost done here. I'll save it for the end.
Degrees at a higher rate than men. And this is across all ethnicities. But if we look at Blacks in general, and compare to like what women are doing, like Black males, I kind of looked this information up. It overall is 9.2% of Black people that are getting doctoral degrees. But when we look at Black males, they're at 7.1%. Black females are at 10.9%. So what she's saying is accurate in that regard. You know what I mean? And so when we are listening to these stats and somebody's just throwing them out, and if it's in line with what you think, you're automatically going to go for it. And so I just think that we do need to do a better job of making sure that when we're, quoting stats, that we're understanding them for one, and then kind of giving that information to people for them to look up on their own if they're interested in it, because I pulled that from the National Center of Education Statistics. So it was just an easy search to just kind of confirm.
Okay, what she's talking about, she has some valid points here, but the problem is that if you're making the guy she's talking about, he did some research, obviously, and he found some stuff that confirmed what he was talking about. I don't see a problem with that. If there's data out there that contradicts it, then it's up to you as the viewer to go and find it and present it, which is what she did. You know, kudos to her for actually going and looking up the data points that she's talking about. But the problem, again, the issue is that a lot of times on a show like this, like, did she see that video beforehand? Is that how she knew to look up those stats? Because again, if we're on a live podcast and somebody starts spitting these stats out at you, you don't have time to go and look this stuff up. You got to do it later. And let's be honest, most cases, most people are too lazy to do that. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, kudos to her because she went and looked this stuff up. I've done the research myself, but again, I got a YouTube channel just devoted to relationships, so I have to stay on top of this stuff. But if you're just an average person on a panel and a live show at that, you're not,
whether what he was saying was true or not. And even seeing what she was saying was true or not, you know. But I don't know, that just kind of bothers me. Like, that's my background is in education, so a lot of times when I'm hearing these things.
Okay, so my thoughts on the video. Look, there's a lot. I think that there's a second part to this video because there's a lot of stuff that I was expecting them to get to, and they just didn't. It would seem like a lot of time wasted on talking about independent women and fighting wars, which wasn't really related to the video that they watched. But the point I wanted to address earlier was the education piece, right? It was because, again, I'm going to insert, because black women definitely 100% pursuing higher education. The problem is that those degrees are not translating into income. And at the end of the day, most women still want the man to be the breadwinner. So what is the purpose of getting these higher degrees? A lot of times it's women who are avoiding getting into the real world. They're going to say, oh, I'm going to go back to college because I'm just not ready to face life. The other issue that comes up is that, again, we're going to insert a card here because that net worth video, that's why I said that's why we need to get that done, is because secondary education, graduate education is not free, and there are less scholarships for it. So what does that mean? Student loans is what it means. So yeah, again, a lot of women are going to get these graduate degrees, but they're not translating into the income. So you end up in debt with this shiny new piece of paper, but you have nothing to show for it. You don't go in, the majority of the time, we're not going into the fields that we got a degree in. Well, what was the point in taking out all those massive loans then? For that nice piece of paper. And women fall victim to this because, again, if the average black man still makes more than the average black woman, okay, well, what was the point of getting all those degrees? It looks good on a resume, but if you're not translating it into an actual career, the only thing you did was make yourself less valuable. You just brought down your net worth considerably. This is what I mean when I talked about, sitting down with people who making $100,000 a year and they're living paycheck to paycheck. Yeah, because they got all this massive amount of debts and oh my God, it gives me dry mouth just thinking about all that debt. And in most cases, the women are expecting a man to come in and take care of it. No. I'm telling you right now, ladies, men are going to say, they're just going to say no. Now, am I telling you that you shouldn't have a career and you shouldn't go make a lot of money? Absolutely not. You just have to understand, just like everything else, you have to weigh the pros and cons of it. So if you want a career, if you're a career woman, okay, and you want to get married, okay, well, you need to be open to the idea that you might have to be the breadwinner in the relationship. But remember what I said before, being the breadwinner and being head of the household are two different things. A lot of women think a lot of women conflate the two and think that, well, I'm the breadwinner, so I'm the head of the household. No, a lot of men get that wrong too. No, just because you make a lot of money doesn't make you a good leader. Leadership skills make you a good leader. Plain and simple. So look, we're gonna. I suspect that there's gonna be another episode of this. a part two. If there is, you can bet we're going to review it. So I'm going to say goes to the next time. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right. Thanks for making it to the end of this video, but do me another favor, like and subscribe, but also check out these here. Either subscribe or watch videos, one or the other. I don't know which side, but hey, all right.